All right, what's up, my ninjas? We are back with another Off Our Brains. I've got my homeboy Agent O with me. What up? I got ODC DATSME with me.
Yeah.
And I got Clarion Prime with me.
What's going on?
And I will do my best to not like out your name identities like last time. But before we get started, on our last video, it was just me and ODC DATSME. We were kind of just shooting the shit, and I guess one of our wonderful viewers decided to try and take the troll approach and call us out on some really weird things. I mean, he called me out on a Freudian slip, actually. I mentioned that we were talking about that X-Men 5-pack, and I mentioned that Beast was on the Wrecker body. But then later on in the video, we discussed that he should have been on the Wrecker body because it would have made more sense, because it's a better body than the Hyperion body. So that's for him. Also, he felt like we were attacking ACBA when, you know, specifically we said some people that happen to be in the ACBA community. And his attitude was exactly an example of like that sort of shit, that sort of attitude that made me not want to be part of that community. Because, you know, I've had friends that are part of it that got, you know, they got into it because they liked something that the majority did not like, and it got so bad that they had to leave, you know, and I've heard it from more than one person, so it's not like we're just making shit up. But I'm not generalizing the entire community, and neither was ODC DATSME. We're just mentioning some things that we've seen. And the same goes for when we were talking about a lot of reviewers that happen to be part of the ABCA community kind of dick riding on the whole DCUC uses the same body for everybody, and just omitting the fact that they learned that tactic from, you know, Toy Biz and Hasbro and Mattel. You know, we were just pointing out something. We're not sitting there attacking everybody that's under the banner of, you know, ABCA. They can do what they want to do. We don't care. It's just we're saying that it's something we saw. It's an observation. So, you know, if you want to get all, you know, as they like to say on the interwebs, butthurt, you know, that's your own prerogative. But, you know, we were just pointing out something. And, you know, the rest of what we said, like, for the most part, we know we had facts to back up what we were talking about, you know? And the speculation stuff was just speculation, because that's what you do when you shoot the shit, you know? So if you want to rain on someone's parade for having fun, you know, whatever. But we just I figured I would put that out there before we even start. So if you're watching, yeah, you can lick the back of my ball sack.
Yeah. Up and down the ball sack.
I'll make it nice and sweaty for you.
Yeah. Make sure you jog at least 3 to 4 miles.
I know, right? So on with the show, right? So today we want to talk about like superhero costumes in like film and TV, and just and also the pointless. We'll put them both together. The pointless battle between which one's better, Marvel or DC? as if you have to pick a side. I don't know.
There must be one.
There can only be one.
There can be only one.
I don't know. Which one you guys want to start with?
Let's just do the Marvel DC.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you guys? Where do you guys stand on this thing at all? If you have a place that you stand in this debate.
I don't know. I grew up with DC. DC was what I was. I mean, I saw Batman, Superman, and Shazam. Those were the three for me when I was growing up. So I don't know. Comics are comics, man. I just want to enjoy them.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit about either side. I mean, most of the bitching and moaning now is about Marvel's movies are better than DC's movies. Who gives a fuck?
What are you talking about? Stop making fun of DC Comics. DC Comics are icons, man.
Nah, it's the truth though. Like, I don't know. For me, I grew up with Marvel first, and I used to hate the DC characters. I mean, the first book I read, comic book, was Batman, but I got into like Marvel characters first. But then I started slowly seeing like something else with the DC characters, and I just jumped and read either or at different times for different things. So even though as far as cartoons go, in the 90s it was Marvel, and then it slowly became all DC with like the Batman animated series, and then Justice League, and then all that other shit. But it's all there for us to enjoy it. So personally, I just, whatever one kind of appeals to me at the time, that's what I'm kind of, that's what I'm watching. What about you, Agent O?
I was actually exposed to DC comics first, like
Yeah.
with Batman and Superman, and and that was cool. But then when I saw Marvel comics and I saw Marvel characters, and then I gradually shifted towards Marvel.
Yeah.
and even though I read both, I still do, like, personally, I still do prefer Marvel to DC as far as, like, characters that I like. Like, there's more Marvel characters that I like than DC.
Yeah.
But I still do read DC characters. Like I never really cared for Green Lantern, but now I really like Green Lantern after...
I still hate...
I mean, I don't like Hal Jordan, but I like
no.
Kyle and John Stewart and whatnot.
That was my favorite.
Those characters are cool. I just, for me, my hatred was always with, like, here's a ring that knows everything.
I know it made detective work like so easy.
Yeah, like space cops. It just takes all the fight out of your mission when you're ring. It's like, if you ever watch Power Rangers or any Sentai or Tokusatsu show, it's like, here's your morpher, use it, and now you will know automatically how to use a Zord and the guns and the whatever martial arts that come along with it. You will now know it all, and it's like, the fuck, like, then what's the point in being a hero? There's supposed to be a journey, you know what I mean? But
that's why he said he wanted teenagers with attitude.
oh man, they're
attitude translates to skill.
I know, right? There's the segue. So what about you, Prime? What did you start out with?
I guess the first couple of first comics I read were probably, I guess I was exposed to like Agent O, Batman, Superman originally, and then I think maybe X-Men was the first thing that I really, really dug into.
Yeah.
Like probably Uncanny, not even like any one hero in particular.
Yeah, that was me too.
Yeah, and so I read a lot of that originally, and I guess I more or less favored like Marvel growing up. And when I was really collecting at my height, but it's like, I don't know, it was like DC. They were still good back then, but it was like, I don't know, I just like the feel of the Marvel books better. It's like
the Marvel books were more relatable.
Yeah, exactly. They felt
because everybody was damaged goods.
Yeah, it was just easy to get into them because they didn't like DC stories were huge, epic, sweeping stories that used to kind of. How do I put it? It was set in motion by shit that happened years before we even started reading. You know what I mean? Because, Zero Hour and all that shit, it happened probably before, some of it happened before we were reading. And then, you're reading kind of the fallout of it, in our time. Nowadays, though, Marvel definitely capitalized on the whole relatability shit. And, all their characters just seem like regular guys that happen to have powers, except for... like Thor and,
Yeah, for a while they were doing those little one-page ads where they were talking about putting the character back in the comics and whatnot.
During the Age of Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like X-Men. It's like you're growing up with these powers. How do you use them?
Exactly.
How are you going to use them in society? Are you going to hide them? Are you going to keep them out in the open? That's why Marvel was so relatable, especially with the animated show back in the 90s.
Hell yeah. I used to watch the shit out of that show.
Oh, yeah.
I know, budget
Why
animation.
Why can't they do that again? How come Marvel's just so off?
I don't know. I think because they're trying to be cool and, hip and modern by using... I said hip because I think that's what they're saying. Because they have, an anime studio doing all the animation for their, animated films, but the writing is horrible. You know what I mean? It just... I don't know. It feels like they're trying too hard.
It feels like they're just trying to cater mainly to a younger audience and not do what, say, Avatar, The Last Airbender does, where they cater to that audience, but they also know adults are watching these shows with their kids, so they try to throw in, adult elements that maybe the kids might pick up or they might not, but the adults will understand it and they'll be able to, I guess, kind of connect all the dots and fill in the blanks as to what they're trying to say, and so then it appeals to adults too. That's one of the things that makes Justice League and Justice League Unlimited so awesome is because they make sure that they do that, because Dwayne McDuffie, he's writing a comic book in animated form essentially.
Exactly.
So when you watch it, you know, that's the feeling you get off of it, and that's part of what made it so great.
Yeah. And I think in the 90s, though, with the X-Men stuff, is the fact that they were so fearless about, like, putting the stories that actually we were buying those comics when they were coming out, and then they were putting that very same story on television, like, a month or two after it came out. So you're reading, and then you get to watch it play out right in front of you, you know? And now they're not doing that. They're kind of touching on stories that they've done, but they're not necessarily translating those stories, you know. I'll give them props for Earth's Mightiest Heroes, because that was the one thing they did do, was they did like the kiddie version of, you know, this story from like the 90s or the 80s or whatever, you know what I mean, like the kiddie modern Marvel Universe version of, you know, Infinity Gauntlet or fucking whatever,
Secret Invasion,
yeah, stuff like that. So, you know, they were trying. I just don't know what happened. It's like Man of Action doesn't read Marvel comics. You know what I mean? Man of Action just makes up their own shit. That it's like, what if
change his name to Man of Research,
or Man in Need of Research? Yeah. It's weird. Like, I try to watch the show, and like because you know they handle everything that Marvel is doing, like on what is it, the Hub Network or Disney XD?
Disney XD.
It's all that the same animation studio, and then Man of Action, and they just write really bad parodies of the movie counterparts of those characters, and I think it doesn't help. I mean, granted, kids aren't really paying attention because most kids are busy playing video games anyway. It doesn't.
That's the other thing, like now, most people, like when they're watching. I noticed this is really weird because my friend was doing it. He was over the other day. We're watching a movie, watching fucking RoboCop, and he had never seen RoboCop. Damn. And I was like, "What? You've never seen RoboCop?"
Wow!
And I was
smack him.
Uppercuts.
Texting the entire time while watching. I'm like. He's like, I'm gonna go on the internet. I'm gonna use your computer. I'm like, dude, you're watching a movie. Can't we just are you gonna watch the movie? Oh, I gotta go on the internet while I watch the movie. I can hear it. And I'm like,
wow,
you're not watching it.
No attention span.
That's what most people do now. They do like 2 or 3 things at once.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, just sit down and watch the damn movie.
Yeah, entertainment is not. It's not the same. Like it. Like
no,
people.
Everybody's got ADD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's funny you mentioned that because the other day I was on Kotaku and one of the video editors was talking about how he was playing a video game and he watched an entire season of Archer at the same time, and I'm like, how in the hell do you do that?
you only get half the information that way.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, you caught like maybe like 3 jokes, and there were like 12 in that whole episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people. I don't know, and I think maybe this is all like the reasons why we're getting the versions of both the DC animated universe and the Marvel animated universe kind of distilled the way that we're getting them. The weird thing is this, like with the whole battle between the two, I don't understand, and I never got this even when we were younger. What's the prize? Like, you know what I mean? Like
there's a yellow lantern ring at the end of it.
Yeah, like
that goes through to like fanboys too. It's like one side's better, one side's not. You're not a paid employee. You have no stake in this battle. There's nothing to win.
You're a consumer, and that's it. And it's like the console wars. You know, you always get these fights about which one is better, and it's like, well, if you can't afford the other one, then the one you can afford is better because you can actually play that system. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Or like, if you can't, like, if you remember how I did this one review or video about Saints Row and GTA 5, Saints Row 4 and GTA 5, and how like people would fight about, if you like one, you can't like the other one, and it's like you go to both for different things, and some people might want both things, so they buy both games. They offer them on all the systems. Why can't you just enjoy all of it? Like, there's no, if you beat the game, you still get whatever ending they decide to give you or not give you. Regardless of the system, regardless of which side you fall under, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the fucking prize?
Yeah, I've always felt it was like people have like this thing in the back of their head where they kind of want to be on the winning team, no matter what it is.
Yeah, but if there's no prize, there's no real winning team.
I think the prize is them knowing that they made the right choice, or that they that they stuck by that particular brand, and it gives them some sort of validation. And that's why they fight so hard
I like
for
is
it.
better than
Than
this
what
thing
you
that
like.
you
Yeah, and
but
that makes me better somehow.
But this is where people.
And that's where it's stupid. Because
it's real dumb because in reality,
the corporations went out.
Yeah,
because
the
they got all your
corporations
money.
are getting all your money.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
all it is a marketing campaign for a product, and you bit, and that's it. It's simple. There's no such brand loyalty. Does not exist. It's just they cater to you with their particular content in their ads, and in maybe their products, and you might like it, but you give them money. Like that's it. You give them money to produce this stuff. It's not like they're saying, "Oh, little Johnny in Iowa really loves Microsoft. Let's go the extra mile for little Johnny." Like Microsoft doesn't give a shit about little Johnny. They give a shit about little Johnny's parents.
Well,
money.
they'll use that to their advantage too, because like there's that guy who had a Honda, and he had a Honda for so long, he had driven it for so many years, and it had crossed the 1 million mile
I remember
mark.
that. Yeah.
And so, and Honda shows their quote unquote appreciation by giving him a brand new car. It's their way of saying, "Oh, we care," but then it's also their way of saying, "Oh, let's market it so that we can get more people to go to buy Hondas."
Exactly.
And it's all it's all mind games with these companies, and they say back in the day that doing like subliminal messaging and stuff on T is illegal, but they still find ways to do it.
They still do it.
They're just not flashing images, rapidly to like get into your subconscious and shit. They just found other ways to pull it off.
Yeah, it's kind of
that's the whole thing with commercials. Like you look at like Burger King and McDonald's and shit, and it's like there's food always on, even Applebee's, shit like that. Like they do that and show you food. They only show food. You'll always see that. You'll always notice that there's like very few people in those commercials. Do is just narrate and show food to make you hungry and make you want to go out. Whether it's for Applebee's or Burger King, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it keep you going out and spending money and circulating the money.
Yeah,
I will admit Burger King has some funny ass commercials though.
Yeah, I miss the ones with the king, man. That shit.
And the
chicken
chicken,
was creepy as hell, but it was funny, man.
It's so creepy, but so great.
But what sucks is like, why don't the comic book companies don't do that anymore? Like their movies, they do it, but like,
dude, that's extra money. Like you would have to pay for advertising. they barely want to advertise in other publications. Like you see ads for comics in other comics.
Yeah.
You don't see ads for comics in magazines. You don't see like many banner ads on like web pages for comics unless you're on like, a comics web page.
Yeah. Same goes for the toys. Like you don't see ads for shit anymore unless it's like My Little Pony or like sometimes Hot Wheels, and like it's got to be the #1 selling thing.
Or if they do it, they do it wrong. Like when DC was doing the New 52, I saw TV spots for it, but they would just show like the DC logo in this like blue background, like the new DC logo, and then they say like the New 52, and then the commercial would be over like as soon as you saw it, and I'm like, it doesn't explain what it is. Like, what is the New 52 to someone who doesn't read comics, and you're trying to get them to read those comics? Because I read comics, so I already know what it is, but like they just fucking failed.
You're not going to draw in any new people. You're just going to redirect the fan base you already have.
You didn't even tell them what the new people were, what it is you're even advertising.
Yeah.
That costs too much money.
That's like more words. You need actors.
I know, right?
Just a total waste of money.
Logo. Like tell anybody, hey, you could find this at mention a local comic store nearby. No.
Exactly.
No, why would we do that?
It's weird. It's so weird. And the even stranger is the fact that like you still have diehards that are like on one, the polar opposites. They ignore everything in between. It's just either Marvel or DC. But some people I think used to be Image, but Image is not so much structured the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Now it's all like really independent, projects that are kind of separate from one another, but under the Image banner. And that's kind of what they intended in the beginning. It's just that the guys who got together in the beginning were more about like trying to emulate what they used to do at Marvel, but under a new banner where they could own their own shit. But it's strange how like there's no God, I was starting to go somewhere and I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. But it is it's
somebody's gonna correct you for it in the comments.
I know, right?
You messed up at 28
It shows you don't know what you're talking about.
I know, right?
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Your brain stopped for a second. You're not even human.
Are you even a real fan?
I'm starting to doubt whether you're a real fan or not. You don't even know what a comic book is.
It's sad that that's how it works, but I guess that explains a lot about why there's still this war between, like, which one is better. People are always doing the list, the top 10 everything, the greatest this ever, you know, the best blah, 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 based on their opinion, and that's it, you know? And because of that whole quote-unquote fanboyism, we're going to keep having this battle with no end because there's nothing to gain once you know, quote-unquote win the argument.
Exactly, because it's like, to them, it's like opinion is religion. It's not like because you can change your opinion.
Yeah.
You can't change your religion. So now to them, it's like, well, my opinion means all to me, so it's my religion. That's what I believe in.
Exactly. Hey, that's how a lot of wars start, right? That's pretty much how it works. I hate the way it works. And I hate that, like, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, they already give us a bad name just because we like this stuff. But, like, then you have these folks who are extremists, and they take it a little bit further, and that's why it will never become the kind of mainstream that people that are within the, you know, in this umbrella, what we would want, where it's respected. I mean, TV shows don't get the respect that they deserve. Me and Agent were talking about that yesterday while we were playing Vegas. How, like, remember shows like Mantis back in the day with Carl Lumbly and all older TV shows with superheroes in them, like
even the old Flash
TV
show.
Old Flash TV show.
What was the one? Dark? Well, not Dark Man. The one where the guy's
Nightman.
Yeah, with the sax.
Where he's playing the saxophone, and that was a freaking Malibu comic, and it got a TV show. Like, yeah, they will never get the kind of respect that, like, Friends or one of those other shows get, because it's
or
comics.
The budget.
Yeah, they won't get the budget either
comics,
because it's related to comics, and people still think of comics as this child's thing, even though it's making billions right now. Avengers made billions, and people are like, you know, you read comics. My son used to read comics when he was in 3rd grade.
We'll see in the funny books.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Where have you been all this time? Like, comics are no longer even that. You know,
I know comics are winning, like, literature awards.
Yeah.
They've been winning literature awards.
Yeah.
It's just fucked up that people don't see them as a serious art form, and it's because you have idiots that kind of are.
Heath Ledger won a fucking Oscar for playing the Joker.
Yeah, exactly. But you have people who are related and kind of are the face of you know, the fan base, and they make us look so bad because they're so immature.
That vocal members of the fan base. Yeah,
Exactly.
You're right. It like it taints the pool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it poisons the well.
I'm poisoning the well.
Yeah, because you got
Kids go to that
like
well.
whenever they change
Drink up.
like the whenever they change the ethnicity of a character, and then everyone has an internet nerd rage, and that reflects because that shit like makes national news.
Exactly.
All those people upset made national news, and so it does help to discredit, you know, comic books in general.
And watch, like clockwork, we're gonna have a bunch of people say, "You don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't really exist." I swear it's the same concept. You know, they say the devil's greatest trick was convincing mankind that he didn't exist.
Exactly.
In every type of media, we see this now. Whenever there's a negative, you always have a bunch of people who are like, "That's not the way it is." When I did videos about racism in comics and film, they're like, "You guys you want there to be racism, so if you keep talking about it, that's why it exists. That doesn't really happen." I'm like, are you fucking kidding
Even though
me?
you have people who work in the industry let you know that it's there.
like I said, the reason comics will never completely, even though they're making the money that should garner the respect, they're never going to get the kind of respect that other art forms get, is because the fan base is too immature. I mean, like, there are mature people within the fan base, but the face of the fan base is just so...
Yeah, the large majority.
Yeah, they're so immature, and every little thing is an opportunity for them to just go off the handle and go ape shit over nothing, and I don't know. And they missed the point. Like, Marvel is a corporation. DC is a corporation. You know what I mean? You got Disney and you got fucking Viacom, and they own these groups, and they're trying to do things that help, garner money returns for them on their own investments, so they're not going to do things according to what the quote-unquote fans want. You're seeing it with the movies. That's why I gave up on DC movies, like the animated films.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Oh, yeah.
Live action? Fuck it. I'm not even paying attention.
I'm still holding out hope. I'm still holding out
They're
hope.
finally gonna do the big like Justice League maybe movie.
There's a theory that I read. It was just an article on a theory that they might be shooting more than one movie. That's why it's going to take 2 years.
Yeah.
Might be doing like the Matrix thing.
That'd be smart.
That'd be smart.
Yeah.
That would be smart. At one point I was thinking it would be cool if all what we heard was misdirection from what they really were doing.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool because then it would be like the old days, you know what I mean? Where you didn't know what was coming out, and then all of a sudden it's like, shit, there's live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You're like, holy shit, or
holy balls, what the fuck did that come from?
And same thing with like, the old fucking '89 Batman when it dropped. No, we didn't really know. We knew on the news that people were mad that someone cast Michael Keaton to play a superhero.
But that's all you really knew. You didn't see the bat suit.
Exactly. You didn't see anything. So it was like, oh, what's this going to be like? Then you see it and you're like, holy shit. Now, because of the internet and the way information just travels so fucking fast, you don't even get to be amazed. I mean, I'm surprised that Marvel has done such a good job not revealing much about Guardians of the Galaxy, past the trailers and stuff like that.
But still, I mean, they reveal a lot, though.
They do, but they do it on purpose now, and they do it like at their own speed. If you notice, like a little at a time, and then they give you the big reveal.
Or you get people on set, like maybe they're at a on location somewhere, and you get people trying to get the scoop so they can get YouTube views or something.
True.
That's true.
Because like I saw a lot of stuff for Transformers that I really didn't care to see. They all suck. All the movies suck, but
or just
about the live action movies. Like the third one, there was like people were shooting like them filming a scene, and they were just far away, so you could see all the cars.
You're talking about when the third one was coming out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like while they were still shooting the shit.
I thought you were talking about the new one that's coming out.
And then with Batman, you saw the same thing. Like I saw the Batwing or the what is the Bat?
The Bat.
Yeah,
the Bat.
before it even.
That thing looked like a fucking beetle. It looked like the Beatles beetle.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty lame.
But yeah, you see all that shit like well before they were ever ready to reveal it.
There it is.
Wait, I could do better. I'm sorry.
We need The Price is Right fail too.
Oh, I got that too.
The price is wrong.
I'm downloading that right now.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's weird, man. I just honestly, like I said, the whole fucking battle, the back and forth battle just seems dumb. It's not even that fun anymore. Like when we were kids, at least we could go out and pretend to be, Magneto and fight fucking Steel and beat the shit out of Steel, or you pretend and do all this shit, and pick a side, and it was fun to a degree because you're so engrossed in that world, and if you read more Marvel than DC, you know more about Marvel. And then when your friend is going up against you and they know more about DC, you could actually kind of go back and forth, and it's fun. And you're a kid, it's still magical, it's still kind of, there's a point. But then as you get older and you start understanding how all this shit works, there is no point. It just happens. Like in all of our little rooms with our collections and shit, we've got a combination of either Marvel and DC books or Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, whatever.
Yep.
And, with our figures, we got fucking... Marvel and DC superheroes, G.I. Joes, whatever, Transformers, you got it all in the same fucking place. And it doesn't matter. If you like the characters, that's essentially what you're reading the books for. But, I don't know. That's just, I guess, the way us old-timers, apparently, this is how we think.
Us old geezers.
I know, right? Back in my day.
Back in my day, Frankfurt's used to cost a nickel.
Frankfurters.
Comic books were $1.25.
And we had to march uphill 10 miles both ways to get to the comic shop.
My brother used to pull me in my radio flyer wagon.
Comicsology, what is that?
I know, right?
Digital comics.
that some sort of college?
I know, right?
The study of comics.
Study of comics? Is that what they have now?
I know. Can you make money doing that? Shit, man, that's quality. Okay, so let's jump to this costume stuff, man, because this was what I wanted to talk about. I was thinking about this for so long.
I actually did a video, but I never uploaded it. So
Really? Hey, go ahead. You still upload it. It's one of those things. Like I remember we were talking about the Flash's costume in the last video.
Oh God, I'm surprised we didn't get more flack for that.
I know, right? These are the things I hear that as a character designer, illustrator, and background in art, it's bullshit when I hear it, and I'm like, you guys completely need to stop listening to uneducated execs, who don't know what they're talking about this particular subject. They say the colors don't translate well on screen. Last time I checked, you can see primary colors on screen on any fucking screen. So regardless of if it's a comic book movie or not, primary colors translate on screen.
It's called Technicolor, people.
Back in the fucking colorblind.
I know, right? In them there fancy moving pictures.
We got sound now too.
Colors, see? The rainbow spectrum, huh?
Oh yeah, so that shit's a lie. And the point of superheroes wearing costumes, and there's a book called The Psychology of Superheroes, and they explain to you that the reason why superheroes wear bright colors is because they are standing out from the world that they choose to protect. Even the bad guy, not bad guys, but the anti-heroes, they wear all black, something really stark, and they still stand out from the way the world works, except for in Batman's case, he blends in. You know what I mean? Because he's not trying necessarily to save everybody, but he's more kind of focused on his city. And then by proxy, he saves other people. Because those villains would go on to fucking, move to different cities and fuck up shit elsewhere. But still, even back in the day, that's why Batman wore blue and gray instead of all black. You know what I mean? It stood out. They're trying to stand. It's the point of being an icon. You're no longer just part of society. Now you're standing out from society. So when people say, oh, they stand out too much, they draw attention to themselves, that's the point. Superman is an icon. You're supposed to see that symbol, bright red and yellow, primary red and yellow, and you know who it is. You know this guy's going to save you when you see him. Spider-Man, same idea. Shit, even Daredevil, even though in recent years they've darkened him up because his story was a little bit darker than what, his appearance would lead you to believe. Spider-Man, they've always been darkening him in the movies, but if you think about it, in the comics, he's always been bright because he's your friendly fucking neighborhood Spider-Man. That's the point, So that is a myth when it comes to freaking colors and all that shit.
Exactly, and even when Spider-Man went black, he was
all evil.
He was a different person.
Exactly, he was all evil. It's real simple. It's so that anybody could figure out, this guy's good, this guy's bad. It's simple. Super simple. So when all these people are listening to these execs say, oh, if he's too bright, I don't know if audiences will take that seriously, then maybe they shouldn't come and see the fucking movie.
It's a fucking comic book movie.
Exactly. And if it's comics, it follows a certain logic, and it's not just a hero film, it's comic book heroes. They're superheroes, and there's a certain logic behind superheroes, and it should translate to the films. That's why Avengers looked fine. I heard people bitch about Captain America's costume. It looked like fucking Captain America. What was he supposed to look like?
Yeah, I know.
Supposed to look. I thought it looked great.
I think people want him to be in look like he got kicked out of Call of Duty and he's holding the shield. You know what I mean? Then they'd be like, oh, okay.
I want him to look like fucking
soap,
Master Chief
with a fucking shield with the chocolate chip camo. Get the fuck out of here. That's not the point. People are missing it altogether. They have to be bright. They have to be larger than life in some situations. They have to stand out, because if they don't, then there's no point. Why put on a fucking costume so you can look like everything else and everyone else? There's no point. You know what I mean? That was part of my issue with the Watchmen film. All these characters are costumed adventurers, but then they turn the other cheek you know, in the what's the word? In the name of the greater good.
Yeah.
And it's like,
The
wait a
worst
They
superhero
turned the other
ever.
cheek ethically.
yeah, ethically, and it's like, wait a second, you guys put on
Good
costumes.
job on the superheroing, guys.
Exactly.
Hang up.
I'm like, the point of you putting on costumes and becoming heroes is so that you can stand out and you can make a difference. People can see you. You set the example. You set the tone. You don't put on a costume and be like, oh, we'll let the cops take care of it. Like, wait, what? Like, that doesn't make
Okay, we'll
sense.
just let this big alien destroy fucking Manhattan.
It just, I don't know, but that's the color portion. So that's the first thing I hear that I'm just like, no, just get the fuck out of here.
Well, plus
with
to
that shit.
add to that, that's what your director of photography is there for. Like, they're supposed to
Make it work.
Yeah, make the color palette. So
That's
that
where I
it
was going to go
doesn't-
next.
You know, doesn't look off. Like that's what they did in the Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Exactly.
Even and to say that even if you try to do a dark movie and try to say that you can't wear bright colors and you can't have the character wear bright colors and then the movie be all dark and shit. All you have to do is look at Punisher Warzone because that film was like very, very vibrant with their colors. The way I don't know who the DP was in that film.
Yeah,
but
the director was Lexi Alexander.
Yeah, and the Punisher's a fucking dark ass character. He wears all black. He's armored up and shit, and it still fucking worked.
Well, anything Guillermo del Toro does is another example.
Yeah,
it can be nighttime, fucking like midnight, pitch black midnight, and he lights his nighttime scenes with amber lights and sometimes blue lights and red lights, so you get all kinds of different complementary, lighting that helps push the characters and make them pop. Even though the nighttime sky is dark, there's lights and there's shit going on. It doesn't have to be all black like Ninja Assassin. That's what pissed me off about that movie, is their DP should have known that you need to backlight some of that shit. In some scenes it worked so that you didn't see enough to give away what was going on fully. They still seemed mysterious and scary, but then when they were fighting, you want to see what's going on, and you couldn't.
You couldn't see shit. It was so dark.
It was so dark, and that's a problem. That's a problem.
Was claustrophobic as fuck.
Yeah, that's a problem I have with Arrow. A fight scene happens on Arrow, and there's lights all over the place, but just not on the action. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? I can't see what's going on. It's too dark. Like,
Exactly.
and for
the
green,
other thing that they do is like, I noticed that they did that with like a lot of the Batman movies. They always, whenever they shoot a fucking fight scene, they always do it close up.
Yeah.
It's like, no, back off a little bit so I can see what either the stunt double or the actor is doing.
Exactly.
I want to be able to see him swing his kick all the way around and hit the guy in the back of the head.
exactly. It's an American film convention, quote unquote, because in other countries when they film martial arts, they pull back and it'll be a long shot so you can see all this wonderful choreography that somebody actually sat there with the team and came up with. If you shoot choreography up close and you're seeing elbows flying and people just falling off screen and you don't know what happened, you just lost all that work that whole team put in. And that was an issue I had with Nolan's Batman trilogy. It wasn't as bad in the third movie, but the third movie had the worst choreography.
So when Bane was whooping Batman's ass, I was kind of digging that.
My choreography.
I'm like, man, this shit was horrible. It was worse than like Rocky 4? This shit was horrible.
But that's the thing, like, you look at movies like Kill Bill, and it's like, damn, that's like, she's like a superhero.
Yeah, you're seeing
Like,
everything.
She is fucking people up, and she looks like a goddamn super. She's flying around, chopping people up, and it's like all the fight scenes, like that one fight scene against Oren Ishii.
Yeah.
Where she's fighting all the crazy 88s.
Yeah.
And it's like you see these wide shots of her just actually doing the kicks and the punches and,
Exactly.
and chopping arms and legs off. You don't see that. You don't see that in a superhero film. You even see that with Batman, and Batman's supposed to be a ninja.
Yeah, you saw that kind of shit in The Matrix, and the whole point of The Matrix, well, one of the points was to shoot a superhero film without costumes. So you got those big shots where you saw everything that was going on. I mean, granted, you had varying degrees of skill levels and, varying degrees of execution when it came to the fights, but in the end, it was pretty good. What you saw didn't suck. The next thing I was going to say, though, is to piggyback on Agent O, is the whole thing about your DP. It's your fucking job to make us believe that brightly colored superhero can do what he does and exist in the real life. I mean, in that world. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're making a film, you have a whole team of people dedicated to make the audience believe that shit is real. You think, like, people were like 100% ready to believe Gollum was real when they were reading the fucking Lord of the Rings. And then you see him, and you had a whole team of people that made him believable. You believed what you saw, you know? Dragons in fucking Desolation of Smaug. You saw what the motherfucker looked like. You're like, damn, that's a fucking dragon. Like, that's the point. You got fucking concept artists. You have fucking character modelers. You have animation, 3D rig people. You've got lighting specialists. You've got all kinds of shit, and their job is to make you believe that thing belongs in this world, that we're sitting down, we pay our 10 whatever or $15 for the fucking post-converted 3D fucking film just because, and we're supposed to sit down and believe this shit. You know, that's the point. For them to always say, no one will believe if, you know, a transformer transforms and all the chunks don't do something. Like, motherfucker, make it work. That's your job. You know what I mean? Like, that's your fucking job. You can't just play on what you think the audience's shortcomings are. You know what I mean? You have to be able to present something to the audience in a way that they can't help but pay attention. That's what movies do, you know? Movies were made for us to escape. All this realism is killing the movie industry, and it's not, you can see it.
I was gonna say that's the thing. It's like you have to ask them, like, all the like producers and most executive producers and the money people, like, where are you willing to suspend disbelief? Because you're gonna say, like you said, like, oh well, if a Camaro really transformed into a robot, it wouldn't look like that. Think about the first part of that sentence. Really could transform into a robot. Oh, for God's sake, yeah, we got to get this part right. Because there's going to be at least 50 people in the theater like, dude, his head couldn't possibly be there.
Why would his head be near the tailpipe? I don't know.
Where did his trunk go? I didn't see where the trunk of the car went. I mean, I don't see his right fender.
These people aren't going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe again, guys.
I know.
So it's like that's where, like, it goes. My bigger question is, again, like, where all these decisions is like, who are you making this for then? Because the fans of the comics know, like these characters, like I said, some of them are iconic. They're recognizable because of who they are and what they look like.
Exactly.
So if you're gonna fuck with the look to try to bring in another audience, I'm like, time out. You're already making this based off of a comic book.
Exactly. Which means,
so you're limiting your audience from the jump.
Yep.
Like period. So, like, all of these decisions made, it's like, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, you want to, like, change characters from black to white. You want to take, like, you know, I'm going to just segue real quick because I'm going to bring this up later. Like, you know, like Electro's character. Fine. You want Jamie Foxx to play Electro? That's great. I have no real connection to him. Like, I just dug the fact that, you know, now that he kind of looked like a luchador. Like, freaking crazy. I'm like, oh, that's kind of great. What could they do with that in the movie? No. Instead, not only did you make him black, but you put him in a hoodie. I'm like, that's it?
Yeah. Well, he's only going to be in that.
Look like Hushin Thunder Liger.
That's awesome.
Exactly. But he's only going to be in the hoodie for a little while, but, like, his costume is still kind of lackluster because it's still another kind of bike. It almost looks like a biker suit. I know it's like a rubber containment suit, but it still has that biker suit vibe that, like, so many of our modern superhero films have, and I'm so tired of seeing that. Like,
X-Men.
Yeah, and it's all Bryan Singer's fault.
Bryan Singer.
Yeah, it's all Bryan Singer's
It's not
fault.
Obama's fault this time.
He that with dialogue too. He didn't just, like, you know, it wasn't just a choice he made. Like, no, he, like, actively, like, poked a hole in that balloon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, fuck the spandex. They're gonna wear fucking biker, you know, costumes and look like dominatrixes and shit. And it's like, no, it doesn't make any sense. You know, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Because if you show up on a scene, like you said, about, like, you know, like the social significance of, like, what they wear, you show up on a scene in all black, and you got somebody that can control weather, and somebody with, like, super sharp claws can shoot beams out of his eyes, and then you look the other way, and say you're looking at the Brotherhood in the first X-Men movie. Okay, you got one dude who's, like, kind of sharp with a helmet. Everybody else is dressed kind of, like, shabby.
Yeah, man, especially Sabretooth. Sabretooth look like a crazed
I'm probably
hobo.
fearing the dudes in black that are in all matching. I'm like, they look like they probably hurt us after they're done hurting them.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is, like, so many directors and producers are in, you know, Warner Brothers and, you know, Marvel. They're so cultivated around. Oh my God, does the suit look right? Doesn't matter if you have a believable product on screen and you have the right actors to give you that believable product. Then the fucking costume is secondary. Who cares about that?
Exactly. Like what you said, you were watching RoboCop.
Yeah.
It doesn't work without an actor who can sell that costume. The guy in the suit who can sell the concept of him being cybernetic, and it's not a suit. The new one, it looks like a guy in a suit.
Yeah, it looks like a guy in a suit with a fake hand. When it looks like a wax hand. Like
yeah, it does. And the old one, I mean, Peter Weller sold that shit. Like, you felt like he was this big-ass tank of a man.
Fuck yeah, man. The way he was moving around, his head and shoulders and all that.
Man, it's like the actors are...
They're night and day.
Yeah, and the freaking producers and the studios are now taking a lot of... how do I put it? They're making it too easy for these actors to just sit... Pretty much, they just have to sit there in the costume and
hide behind the effects.
And hide behind special effects and a trailer that looks like every other trailer that comes out. And that's it. That's all that it is. And then you still have your fans and your fanboys and your whatever, your fanatics complaining and, you know, screaming, this sucks, that's blah, blah, blah. That. No. The thing is, the studios need to do more. They just need to do more. Let your actors act. If a good actor, like when you watch the first Kick-Ass, Nicolas Cage sold Big Daddy quickly. And he sounded goofy as hell. You could tell it was Adam West he was imitating. But when he started fighting and shit, it was like, okay, all the jokes are gone. This guy was destroying people. And it wasn't like fun. He was murking people and slitting throats, and it was like, oh shit, like he knows what he's doing. He's not a joke. And even though the movie still got tons of comedy in it, when the time came for him to throw down, you were like, fuck, this is real. Same thing with Hit Girl. She looked like a fucking hot mess, but then when she started fighting, you're like, oh
shit. And that's the big thing, like going back to what we were saying about how Robin isn't believable, why they won't put him in films, which is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
A real kid Robin, not Chris O'Donnell. He's just as old as George Clooney, I think. But no, putting like a real kid in, it's like the bar was set with Hit Girls. You can pull that off.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can do that with sidekicks. You can make them kids and make that believable.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just they have to make sure that the way that they introduce the character is done right. If you have David Goyer and Christopher Nolan involved, you can't do it because they've already set a tone that says that 95% of what makes up DC Comics can't happen. There's no fucking 0 Hour. There's no anti-monitors. There's no fucking, you can't have, well, you could have a version of Cadmus, but it won't be the version of Cadmus.
They won't have, like, super crazy tech or sci-fi. The sci-fi element's going to be almost completely gone.
I know, especially after the way people reacted to the alien elements of Man of Steel. They're going to downplay the fuck out of that kind of stuff. Like, what's his name? Zack Snyder was saying he wanted his Batman, to be more sci-fi and less, you know, straight up kind of noir, I guess, you know, like crime noir. He wanted him to be a detective, but he has all these like what he's supposed to fucking be, but he wanted to go heavy on the sci-fi stuff. And you could just easily see Christopher Nolan telling him, no, that won't work. Nope, you can't do that with Batman. He's a detective. It has to be grounded.
Even though his detective he never felt like a detective.
Never.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't.
Not in three fucking movies. Not in 3 movies. And this is the guy who didn't he write and direct The Prestige?
Yeah.
And he that movie was a straight up, it had like all these little elements of a detective story where you had to figure shit out. There was all this misdirection and all these little things. And then he writes a Batman story with 0 detective work. Oh wait, I'm sorry. There was like 0.1 detective work. 1%
with the
fucking bullet and the gun and the fake CSI scene that he made in his little makeshift bat cave with all the lights and stuff.
Yeah. I'm
like, no, you have to do more. If there's cartoons that portray the character a little bit better, like way better, then you failed. It's live action. You're supposed to make us believe this guy is who you say he is. But we gotta talk about this Flash costume because the shit is horrible.
Wait, can I touch on one thing?
Go ahead.
While you brought up Nolan, I wanted to touch on one thing. It seemed like, didn't it just seem like by the third movie they were just like, whatever, put it together any way you want, and they just kind of threw shit together and they didn't really give a fuck. That's I don't know. That's what really pissed me off mostly about it. It wasn't even mostly the story.
Yeah,
they were gonna change the story around anyway. That's okay, but it was mostly like they just kind of threw everything together. Like there was no progression in the Batsuit at all from the Dark Knight to the Dark Knight Rises. It just seemed really lazy. It's like Batman's been out of commission for 8 years. He's got no progression in his technology, no progression in his suit, nothing. He's not going to upgrade it.
Yeah, especially to
take on Bane,
to make up, or to take on Bane, or to make up for the fact that he hadn't worn it for 8 years.
Yeah. Oh wait, I forgot he's got bionic legs. I forgot.
He had the bionic leg brace. I forgot about that. Yeah,
which you only needed to use once, and then it was just gone.
Yeah, and he didn't even kick Bane. Like that'd have been the first thing I would have done.
Kick his dead in his chest.
I know, right? It's good. I would have straight just punted his ass, man. Like, it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of stuff with that film that just, it's like, I don't even feel like Nolan really had something to do with that film the same way that he did with Batman Begins. And even The Dark Knight. Like, The Dark Knight, you could see there were a lot of things that it's specifically Nolan that were in there. But then by the time Rises showed up, it's like he had all his other people do the work and he just put his name on it because it didn't have the complexity that, you know, aspects of The Dark Knight had. It didn't have, like, Batman wasn't really in the movie at all. Like, what was it, like a half hour?
It was supposed to be a story about Bruce Wayne. Which, which if
it
you're
was,
doing The Dark
like
Knight Returns, Batman has to make an appearance.
He got his ass kicked.
Yeah, pretty much. Every time he put on the suit, he got his ass kicked, except for when he saved Catwoman up on the roof.
And he didn't even defeat Bane.
Yeah, he didn't. No, and that's the sad part. Weak. That's the sad part. And Bane got shot. Like, in a Batman movie, you had people getting shot with Batman on screen. Like, come on,
if anything,
guys.
Batman would have jumped in front of that bullet to save Bane. that's what the Batman I know.
or hell,
no.
Hell, what about Bane? Bane's not a glorified. He's not a henchman, let alone a glorified henchman, and that's what he basically was in that movie. I hate because I know we're going off on a tangent.
We're turning into a Dark Knight Rises review, but still, like, they fucked up on so many levels that it just was wrong. Like, what about fucking Talia? Like, it was blatantly obvious that it was Talia.
Yeah.
Her revenge scheme was so stupid. Kevin Smith said it best. He was like, why did she wait till the end of the movie after she bought the bomb and shit, or bought the generator, turned it into a bomb, and then she stabs him? She's like, why didn't she just bite his fucking dick off when she had it in her mouth when they were humping in his house? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, take this, beloved, and it's done. And then she would have got her revenge. But instead, she waited till the end of the damn movie to stab him. Then her death. That was one of the worst deaths. She just crashed and was like,
that was the worst death I've ever seen in a movie.
Her neck she just twisted her neck and died. I'm like, this is horrible, man. Like,
it reminded me of The Dark Knight Returns, the animated when Joker snaps his own neck.
Yeah, exactly. And even that shit, that was actually kind of like scary. Whereas
that was fucking creepy. Yeah,
her situation was just like, ugh.
And then they were just staring at him. Like, I love the scene right after. All three of them are just kind of staring at her like, what the hell is that?
And they're like, fuck, she really went out on a bad note. They just turn around.
She's a good actress, too. Like,
exactly.
It's weird. It's like nobody gave a shit by the end of the movie. They were just like, whatever.
No, get her out of there.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say I wanted to add one other thing. And one more thing.
And one more thing.
Oh, but like, you know how you're talking about Peter Weller selling RoboCop, selling the costume. I would also like to say, like, Hugo Weaving, I think, really sold Red Skull. Even though his costume was fucking dope.
Yeah, he
sold the character. His character, like, shined through that costume, and it just made...
But what about V?
When
that
he
played
too.
V, you were like, holy shit. I remember reading... I read V for Vendetta, and I liked it, but nothing really stood out except for the fact that it was kind of a terrorist for a hero, so to speak, like a revolutionist kind of terrorist main character. Then you watch the movie and it's like, damn, I want to hear this guy talk for hours. I don't care. I don't care what he talks about. Everything he said was interesting, and the way he moved was cool, and even the fight scenes, which possibly were Hugo Weaving, or maybe not. The fight scenes were still cool, you know, or fight scene was fucking awesome.
And that's the difference between most actors and other actors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, most actors really dig into their character, no matter who it is. Even if they think it's ridiculous, they still dive into it head first.
Exactly.
Other actors, you notice, like people like Halle Berry.
If you could call her an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. And that's also a good director would spend the time to make them dig into the character, because that's why you hired them. You saw them look the part, you felt they fit the part as far as the looks go. Now they got to act like the person, earn that $1 million+ that they're gonna get for the film. You know what I mean? Like earn your fucking money. And if you're a good director, it should be easy, and they don't do it.
But even if you're like huge, like hugely popular star, like isn't there still like a certain, like, don't when movies come out they have like a list of like people that they would like to play a particular part?
Yeah, usually.
And doesn't there usually follow something like an audition or something where you would at least, like, you know, have characters read like a page?
Yeah,
and
you should.
I went
whether
to,
or not this person would actually be good.
Yeah, no, I was a theater major in high school, so I know all about like acting and like doing auditions and going through that process, and because I did a lot of like plays and like shows and shit, and like it's a long drawn out process, and it's kind of, you know, you really have to dive into it really quick with with information and material you know nothing about. So it's like when they do these auditions, it's like maybe the audition was better than the final product. Maybe they just got the part because they wanted the part because the money is good, and then after that they got their money and they were signed onto a contract. They kind of gave up. They didn't care.
Yeah, I understand. Like, you know,
Well, even with auditions, I think it's weird. Like there was that video that surfaced of Tyrese and his audition for Django Unchained, and his audition tape was basically him acting out the role in his apartment, and I guess he just sent it in. So it's like, are people even showing up, like seeing people face to face for these Hollywood productions now, or
are they even being asked?
Yeah.
Because if he's doing that from his apartment, then he probably wasn't being asked.
Well, he sent it. He sent it in.
He had to have a copy of the script, or
yeah, because he was reading lines from the script.
That's possible.
And
too,
and he was literally smacking like whoever was helping him out with the role because he really wanted the role.
Wow.
So I almost kind of wanted to see him play Django instead of Jamie Foxx. It's just Jamie Foxx is a bigger name.
Yeah.
Because he seemed like I mean, other than his accent, his Western accent, because I think he turned that up a little too high. Like, but that's where your director comes in to kind of rein your ass in. But I think I could have honestly saw him play that role.
I don't know. Tyrese is a horrible actor. I'm sorry. He's good. He's good at certain
That's
stuff.
the other thing. Like, haven't you guys noticed? Like, doesn't it feel like the same actors keep playing
The same roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we have no new actors. Where are all these new actors? You know?
Because
we
all
just
the-
had a
all the
new
young
actor in
ones
the new
suck.
RoboCop movie.
Well, no,
It was dude, honestly, from the commercials, I couldn't tell who that dude was.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh, he's from The Killing. You ever
Yeah.
see the show The Killing?
Yeah.
He's in The Killing, and he was in
He's been in a couple overseas productions.
Safe House with Denzel Washington and
Yeah.
Ryan.
Joel-
when he's that whole
Joel-
fight scene in the house.
Yeah, his
Wait.
name's Joel Kinnaman. That's
right. He was. He was the dude from the last Safe House. Okay.
I never
Yeah.
saw that movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I see. Wow.
Yeah, he's not a great actor, and if he is, the director needs his ass whooped because he didn't do anything with him, and that's the problem. That whole movie it reeked of like the director not being involved enough, and if a director is involved enough, like you gotta say like people don't like now all of a sudden people hate the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, the first two. And I mean, the third one is a given. If people hate it, okay, I understand. There was a lot of bad things in that film. But the first two were actually pretty sound films. And Sam Raimi tortured the fuck out of his stars. Like, that was the point of him being there, to make sure he got the performances he wanted, is he pushed them and made sure he got what he wanted out of their performances. It wasn't like, you know, some movies, it's like the guys just show up and they roll the cameras and that's it. You know, whatever happens, happens. Raimi wasn't cool with that. He put them through hell. Shit, in movies like Alien and whatnot, they didn't even show Sigourney Weaver what she was going up against in the film until the day of the shoot with that particular, you know, the alien in it. So her fear was real. So shit like that, like that's what good directors and their good team will do. They will do things to push to get the performance that they want. All this bullshit where you get a name and then the movie rests on the shoulders of that asshole's name, like The Rock. Stop putting The Rock in fucking movies. Like, stop it. Like, fucking make The Rock act. I mean, he can act when someone makes him do it. But
did you not see Tooth Fairy?
No, but then you see like other movies like Walking Tall, and it's like,
yeah,
he did the damn thing.
Or even I would even say what is it?
What, Gridiron Gang?
No, not Gridiron.
I hate those kind of movies.
No, not that movie. Be Cool. I liked his character in Be Cool. It was something far removed from what I had ever seen The Rock do.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
He was playing a gay guy, and he actually pulled the role off.
And that's a movie.
The director too.
Exactly, exactly. The director did their work. And in superhero films, if the director has no fucking clue what these superheroes do, what they're about, like what are their principles, how do they carry themselves, there's no way they can get those characters to look and feel believable on screen. Like,
it's at that point, it's not to cut you off, but it's not even about the look so much. It's like you could straight rip the character from the page and put them in the friggin' movie. But if like you said, if the director has no feel for the character, the actor's gonna have no feel for the character.
It's gonna fail.
So what are you putting up on screen?
Exactly. Well, when I say the look, okay, Alex Ross always pointed out, and if you look at his art, his characters are literally wearing long underwear. Literally.
Yeah.
But the way that they stand, the suit and the body feel like it's one. It feels like, it doesn't feel like a guy in tights. It feels like that is the guy. When you see his Superman, he stands with this like posture where he looks so fucking confident.
Statuesque.
Statuesque as fucking. He doesn't look cocky. Like he looks like,
and they look like bodybuilders.
Yeah, and he picks pretty muscular actors in some cases, models, I mean. And their stance gives you a little bit of their story. When you see Superman and you see that calm, stern face, it doesn't look like a guy that's gonna like beat your ass in the street. It's like someone's dad who's like, you look up to the guy, you want him to help you. You want to hear what the guy has to say, and you're not going to just automatically, like so much of the interwebs do these days, you're not just going to be like, look at that guy in the fucking tights. No, he looks like this guy would fucking save the fucking world, and that's who he's supposed to be. If a good director understands that kind of shit, then he can actually push the performance. He can say, when you put on the costume, stand like this. Never do this, this, and this, or you'll come off like this. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these directors don't do it. Like, that's one thing I got to give Chris Evans playing Captain America. His speech. He's
got it.
He's got it. He sounds like he stepped right out of a fucking 1940s film. Sometimes his stances, the way he stands, he's confident, he knows what he's doing, but he looks like a working class somebody from back in the day. Like if he was a little older, you'd be like, yeah, that's exactly how somebody that old would probably, when they were younger, this is probably how they acted or how they stood or, how they carried themselves in their, in their work. And he doesn't feel like a cocky young kid at all.
And that's the thing, like with him in other roles, like you look at Cellular and you look at the Fantastic Four, like he has never done like a more serious role before. He's always been kind of joking, and he even did what was the parody movies?
Oh yeah, another teen movie, not another teen movie.
He's always been the brighter side of the movie.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and Scott Pilgrim. Yeah, like he can do comedy, but like this was there were little details and nuances to his performance as Cap that like most people won't really pay attention to. But if you look at him in the movie and look at Cap on the page, he was doing shit that felt just like what you would see on the page. All the little things he would do with his shield. It's all these nods to Marvel vs. Capcom with the shield, bouncing off the ground and him just catching it the right way back into his stance and, throwing it behind his back and just all
Charging
these
Star.
Yeah, it was just like they looked at all that media and they said, let's imitate things from all across the media that actually work. Nolan's Batman, a lot of the time he was missing a lot of the things that Batman had. But in Batman Begins, didn't he stand with his fucking cape draped over his shoulders a lot?
Yeah.
Didn't he fucking like the camera hit him from like the a high 3/4 angle so that you could look like his eyebrow looked fucking evil. Yeah, because it's stuff you see in the comics. There were a lot of shots that felt like shot for shot like Dave Mazzucchelli's fucking art in Batman Year One.
Yeah, especially with that one scene with the cops are surrounding the house.
Exactly.
Cops down with all the bats. That whole bat with the bat scene was like, I was like, oh, that's Batman Year One.
Exactly, and it looked right. But I mean, like, just the way Batman himself was shot, where the camera would look at him, and where, you know, how we would see him on screen, it was like 100%. Like, they knew in the comics, these are shots you always see Batman. Like, the only thing they didn't do was the shot from above when you see his like in Batman Dead End, where he's like, I did it with the cape I made for your Batman ODC DATSME. Remember where like it's from above and you see the guy kind of land in the alley and it's raining and then he stands up and you kind of see the scallops pointing in all directions on the ground. They didn't do that in the movie and they probably should have. In one of the 3 films they could have done that shit. But you know, they kind of got it for that one, but for the other Batman films, they didn't get it. And that's what, to me, in my opinion, didn't make it work as well as it should have. They didn't feel like comic book films. But the Flash's fucking costume. I have to go back to it.
We touched on it last time.
I gotta go over this main thing. Every version of the Flash, his costume is supposed to be frictionless. Which means no folds, no wrinkles, nothing. It's not plates. There's no armor. This is what I was bitching about in the video about character design, and I touched on this when we were talking about Injustice, and you mentioned it too, ODC, that it's armor on everything. Like, everybody's fucking covered in armor, and it's like that only works for certain types of characters. If you're mobile, you need way less armor than other people. Why would the fastest man alive need to be clad in armor? You can't shoot him. Why would a guy like Captain America, like Deathstroke, be clad in armor? He wouldn't be, because he's too damn good. Why would he need a whole shitload of armor? He'd have like a shoulder pad, maybe a bulletproof vest like in Arrow, and like maybe something on his shins, and that's it.
Or you could just give him chainmail like his original design.
Yeah, but people are going to say, that's so Renfest. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody would wear... That's not tactical. Nobody would wear, you know. I honestly, he could get away with it, because why does he need real armor? It's a challenge for him to actually lose, because he's a metahuman. He's got enhanced, you know, strength and speed and healing and senses. No one's gonna walk up and stab this guy. You know what I mean? Like, and then they got him.
That's the main reason why. Yeah, you're right. Why he wouldn't have to, you know, worry about close or long range. He can outrun a bullet. He can definitely outrun somebody with a knife.
Yeah.
So it's like he wouldn't need that level of protection. His brain is pretty much the most protection he needs.
Exactly.
If he recognizes a threat, he's gone.
Yeah. And I don't know. As I look at a lot of these designs that are like prominent in the industry, Arkham Origins is the prime example of a lot of characters were not well thought out, but the design was badass, so it worked for the studio, and people are like, oh, that's badass, so they keep pushing the design. But does the form follow the function? Not so much. Like, there's no way Deathstroke could fight you like Jet Li level in all that armor. He'll be tripping, and he'll be all kinds of limited by just the fact that he's wearing so much armor. That, like, of course Batman would maul him the way that he does in the game, but in reality Batman can't even stand up to Slade. Every time they fought, Slade's beat the shit out of Batman, except for whatever last modern shit they've done. I'm talking pre-New 52, Slade always beat the shit out of Batman, or at least beat him so that he could get away. It was like a no-brainer. Same, like in Arrow, I don't know why they're trying so hard to put the Green Arrow on the same level as Slade. Slade is an example of one of those characters who you have to
he's not even near the level of Batman.
Exactly. He would easily lose. He'd be killed by Slade, plain and simple. Yeah. And they should have Ollie outsmart Slade and stop trying to make him outfight this character. And I don't even know. I think he's a metahuman on that show too. They're kind of vague with what a metahuman is in that universe.
They're like, well, they gave him that. They gave him the
serum, miracle.
The lame super soldier serum, which is something they gave it. I can't remember the name of it.
It was Miracle. They called it Miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The serum, but they should have just, I don't know. They just got lazy with it. They were just like, well, here, take this serum, and now he's super strong. And now Red Arrow's got the serum in him, and I'm like, what's going on?
Now they're going too far. I knew that was going to happen. I'd read that somewhere, but I was like, come on. But I'll give them this. Their look for Slade and their look for the other guy. What was the other guy's name?
Who?
The Deathstroke dude on the island. Not.
Oh, I can't remember. That was season 1.
I forgot his name.
But the two of them, like the first guy, he fought like a badass, so you could tell he was just skilled.
God damn, he was skilled.
He was ridiculously skilled. He could fight from every zone, every level, and his costume allowed for it, which shows that you can't cover someone that badass, that skilled, in armor and expect them to be able to pull off the shit that guy was pulling off. That's loss of mobility. Armor has weight to it, and it covers, areas that you need flexibility. Your shoulders, your hips, your waist. It gets in the way.
It changes your ratios too. It's like if you got plating on your forearms, on your shoulders, on your thighs, on your calves, you're not going to be able to run, throw a kick, throw a punch, move
at the same
fast
speed.
as you could without all that stuff.
Exactly. So,
when I used to skateboard, I would have knee pads, shoulder pads, or not shoulder pads, but elbow pads on.
Yeah.
And I would even have to fall a certain way because sometimes the shoulder pad would move.
Yeah.
Shit moves around. If you got armor on, that shit moves around. It doesn't just stay in one place the whole time.
Yeah, it sucks. Like when me and Agent O were doing martial arts, we used to wear shin pads, and it's the same way. After a couple minutes of sparring or something, you got to keep adjusting those things because they do tend to slide away from the front of your shin or whatever. And it's annoying, but it's just one of those things. And I know in the movie verse and in video games and shit like that, they don't go that far because everything, once you have a look, it's perfect, and you just fight, But I'm not seeing the type of form and function like you look at Deathstroke and then you look at Firefly. Firefly looks like all his gear actually would work.
Yeah,
Deathstroke,
he has to. He's got burns on 90% of his body.
Exactly.
If anybody, he should be borrowing Deathstroke's armor.
Exactly. I don't want to touch anything.
Yeah.
But then you look at what's his name? Deadshot. Deadshot should have been covered from head to toe in armor because he's the guy who people are going to try to shoot at him when they see him. Or when
I still like that design though.
I do like it.
It's way better than Arkham City's design.
Yeah, hell yeah. That shit, he looked like a fucking hobo. That shit was horrible. And that's another thing. Croc in Arkham City didn't look anything like a crocodile person or an alligator person. He just looked like a giant demon. And it was like, when did this happen to Croc? I mean, he's always been big, but that was way exaggerated. It almost didn't fit in the Arkham universe. I mean, it was cool that in Arkham, you actually fight him in Arkham Asylum. When you fight him in the sewers, it was dark.
You're mainly just trying to make your way away from him.
You're running away from him, yeah.
Yeah, you're mainly just bataranging his collar.
His collar, yeah. But, it was dark down there. So, if it was a film and it was lit better, you wouldn't really see how demonic the character looks. You just have a feel for, that he's huge and he's got claws and teeth. In Arkham Origins, I'll give him props for their reimagining because he looked more like a cross between what we always saw in the comics and what he was in Arkham City and Arkham Origins. He was this giant thing, but at the same time, his jawline and everything looked more like a fucking, like a mutated, Croc person or whatever, and
there was the cut scenes where while you're fighting him, and he's trying to bite you, and you gotta hit A to get out of it.
Yeah,
and it's you can see his jaw really open up, and he's snapping at you while he's holding you down, and that's really cool. And I think they did a way better job with that Croc than Asylum.
Yeah, I agree. They that's form and function working together, and this is one of those things that I say it and I think about it with my own shit, but when I see professionals in the industry designing costumes, the Flash is wearing Ollie's type of costume, the fucking Arrow costume painted red with a helmet that actually looks right. The helmet part is the best part of the costume.
Exactly, I totally agree.
Everything else looks like it's exactly It's like he saw Ollie's costume, said, "Oh, that shit's kind of slick. I'm gonna copy it for you so hard."
But that's the thing. Like, if you're wearing try running down the street in some leather.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
You're gonna get hot.
Like I said in the other video,
alive is gonna use his friction. That leather isn't gonna hold up.
He's gonna light himself on fire. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna look horrible. They should have really looked at some of the there were concepts that I saw where he had almost like a speed skater unitard type deal, and that's what he really should be wearing. Something like that completely cuts down on friction.
Like the movie The Incredibles, how they have that
Exactly.
scene where she explains about his suit and how
About
it can
Dash's
take
suit,
friction.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they should have been going for. They should have, with a character like the Flash, you cannot quote unquote ground him in reality. He already has a scientific explanation for his powers. There's your reality, right there. But his powers defy reality because no human being can move at any speed close to speed of light. Even the fastest punches, all that shit. It's not the speed of light. So for them to say, "Oh, we got to make it more realistic," this is the kind of the hole that DC's cinematic universe kind of painted themselves in by dick riding off of Christopher Nolan. They need to let that shit go.
They need to let Christopher Nolan go.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck. Let that kid go.
Best case scenario, yes.
He's good. Like, don't get me wrong. He's a good director. He's a pretty good writer too. He's written his own shit is always really good. With him dealing with someone else's stuff, not so much.
Oh.
David Goyer, get rid of him too because some of his ideas work, but it seems like when he doesn't have supervision, he goes off the deep end, and then everything just loses its fun. It loses its flavor because he overdoes it.
And then had the nerve to complain on the Blade Trinity DVD about how Goyer and Norrington would always change up his ideas.
Oh, he said,
Because you're trying to fit too much shit in one
Yeah,
movie.
he was complaining. I think it was in the commentary, or maybe one of the behind the scenes things, but was complaining about that. And I'm like, maybe you need to look at yourself. If two different directors who I don't think work or talked about, their experience with you were doing the exact same thing with your ideas.
and I'm sure Christopher Nolan was doing the same thing. It's just that now he's experiencing all this success because Nolan's Batman trilogy, he's getting the writing credit for it, for the most part. So, he's getting some of the writing credit. I know he got it for the first one. I know the third one, one of the Nolan's brother was involved in the writing.
The other thing is, it just seems like Warner Brothers thinks that, because they originally messed up, they could have had Joss Whedon with their Batman and franchise.
Yeah,
and
he was.
They were like, "Oh no, we're all set."
Joss
and then
Whedon,
Christopher Nolan, and it seems like now they realize that they fucked up.
Exactly.
And we got Christopher Nolan. He's our Joss Whedon.
Yeah. Remember,
And
Joss Whedon wrote. He was going to direct Wonder Woman, and he had a Wonder Woman picked out and everything. And if he had made that film, I'm telling you, it would have been a whole different story.
Yep. That would have been Warner Brothers Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. It would have started from there, and that would have been was it 3 or 4 years ago that was supposed to happen?
Shit. We'd be working on fucking Justice League 2.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know, man. But form and function, man. They keep talking about how the Wonder Woman costume for this Man of Steel 2 film is going to be so nice and blah, 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 and whatever. And I'm like, I want to see it. I'm not even going to believe anything I hear. I want to see it because so many of these costume designers don't get it. In Blade 1 and Blade 2, the costume designer explained a lot of her her reasoning for using materials that she used. And in part 2, she explained that Blade had amassed way more money. So the materials that he was using for all his gear was way higher quality than what you saw in the first one. And she wanted him to always remain clean. So they used fucking spandex for his pants, but loose spandex.
Yeah.
So it never wrinkled because it's a stretchy material that doesn't really wrinkle unless you fucking iron that shit. You know what I mean? You'd have to iron your creases into it. So not only was his clothes always clean, not only was everything always in place, but his costume the rest of it couldn't wrinkle because of the materials that were
And it allowed him optimum mobility.
Exactly. He could do all his movements with no problem
and not sweat.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because that leather was generating all that heat.
Exactly.
Wearing leather pants and doing all them kicks.
Yep. And it made sense. You're like, damn, that actually looks cool. It makes sense. And you had the character part down. Like when you look at him, you could have put that in a comic and it would still work. You could put that in a video game, it would still work. And you're not seeing that level of thought going into all these other characters. I'll give them props for Man of Steel, because even though they darkened the costume, it still looked more like Superman than some of the other shit that they've done, you know, like with the tiny little S.
Superman Returns! Excuse me.
That shit was horrible.
The movie where Superman didn't throw a punch.
Exactly. Where Superman had like a billion S's on his chest and body and everything. What was that about? You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, Bryan Singer...
In the fashionable underwear.
the tiny little
all about
bikini
branding.
briefs. Yeah, I know, right? Shit's not cool,
Bryan
man.
Singer was making his own... his own
little
fantasized version of Superman,
And it
like
did-
in his wet dreams and shit.
That's wrong.
It really makes you look forward to Days of Future Past.
I know.
Okay, that's perfect. Did you see the costumes on the cover of Empire? The
Quicksilver's costume.
Quicksilver's costume was terrible. Wolverine's costume looked terrible. Like, why is the guy?
It looks like the 2000 movie. It looks like fucking X-Men.
Yeah, still. And why would Wolverine, the guy who can heal and has adamantium bones, have the most armor?
He can't get it right.
Yeah, they just and it's weird because like you still have people giving him props, and
Oh yeah, people can't wait to see that bullshit.
it's man.
Looking forward to Cap, but I'm not looking forward to the other two.
Fuck
Yeah.
X-Men.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
As long as that guy's working on those movies, it's never gonna be as good as it could have been.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even fucking Magneto looks bad. Like old Magneto looks thorough. The old men look cool. Fucking like modern Magneto. After you saw that dope suit that he had in the end of the first class.
Yeah.
Remember when he breaks out the White Queen or whatever? He had this cool like reddish suit with like purple accents and stuff, and then he had his helmet and his cape. I mean, he looked smooth as fuck, and he had the badass theme and everything. It's like, okay, I want to see more of this. Then now we get the next movie, and he's got this weird, tight-looking... I don't know what the hell is going on with that suit. It's just tight in the wrong places. It's accentuating the wrong things. Like, Michael Fassbender's a long, skinny kind of... I won't say skinny, but he's lean and long. You know, he's tall. And his suit...
Yeah.
The suit makes him look like a diver or something. Like he's about to go jump into the fucking like harbor or some shit, you know, searching for treasure or you know, trinkets or some shit with a cape.
Yar. Yar.
It doesn't look good, man. It's like, why not take the same aesthetic that you put towards Magneto in all those other films and just put it on a younger guy?
Yeah, and why the fuck does Professor X still have hair? When is that shit gonna fall out? Fucking fall out already. Got a full head of hair. That shit isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, they should have made James McAvoy like get a haircut with a receding hairline or something.
Yeah.
For the movie.
Something.
Like still make it look. I
Bale
guess
could
make
do
it look
it.
stylish so he
He
still looks attractive, but because that's why that's part of why he's there.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not... I think they don't get it. You know, like, there's like little color in that movie, and X-Men are the most colorful team that you've they're the most colorful characters, some of the most colorful characters in comics, and they've been that way. I mean, how is it that you have Blink, who was like lavender, fucking magenta, and bright green, and you got her in black as well, just like everybody else? Like, come on. Why are they wearing black? They're not a stealth special ops, you know, night type, you know, operations unit.
They look like they belong in the last G.I. Joe movie.
Exactly.
They do. Look at Magneto's wearing. They're all wearing black except for Bishop's got a red sash going around him, and that's it. Like the only one that should be wearing any type of armor is Bishop.
Yeah, he should look the most tactical. Wolverine should have a sneaking suit that should be brown and tan.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't done that yet. If you're not going to put the mask on him, at least give him the sneaking suit. You know what I mean? Make it look like something like what Cap's wearing in the new, you know, the Winter Soldier.
They couldn't even make Storm white. Why couldn't you at least give her something? The only thing that's white is her hair.
I know they didn't. They gave her that weird. Oh, but isn't she pregnant or something again?
I don't know.
And she's pregnant.
Or she's pregnant. Or she is pregnant. I mean, in this film, that's why her costume is like weird around the midsection. So they're trying to.
Oh, they're hiding.
They're hiding her pregnancy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
she's got Wolverine's baby, right?
well, she is.
Fucking claws are gonna come out of the stomach.
Yeah, it's strange too. They should have put her in white, but I think if they put her in white, it would draw attention to her stomach. So that if they put her in black, at least silhouette her with black, it'll make her look skinnier and small. Because they say black slims people down.
I didn't know she was pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's pregnant during the filming of the movie. So is Scarlett Johansson. She's pregnant during the filming of. She's pregnant now. So while they're filming Avengers, they're trying to hurry up and get all her shit out the way before she starts showing. I don't know. An example of them doing it right is definitely the Avengers, Cap, Iron Man, Thor, all that shit. They knocked that shit out the park. They took all the elements that we didn't get when you look at the character in comic book form. Like on Thor, there's a lot of parts of his costume that didn't make sense. Like back in the day, he had like tiger stripes on his fucking boots. Like where? What? That didn't make any sense. The boots themselves didn't look right. They fixed all that and they look cool. You know, like the fact that their armor, like kind of the cape shrinks up into the back of their armor, and then they have the weird mail or whatever you want to call it that forms up on his sleeves. Like that's cool because like they played into the fact that they're otherworldly and they exist in another plane. There's magic and whatever infused into their weapons and their costumes and everything, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? It looks cool. It's fucking fun to look at. Captain America, like I was saying before, I think they have the idea that I had that you should start tying Captain America into the Metal Gear-ish type like world of espionage and shit like that. Like make everything like future tech. You know what I'm saying? So that Cap doesn't look like still like a relic.
Yeah.
You got him. His personality will show that he's from back in the day. You know what I mean? But he's in a modern military setting, so it should be future tech and like fucking SHIELD is not they're not the United States military. They're SHIELD. So they have like stuff that we will never use because they're so far advanced beyond what, you know, the United States regular military would be using, you know?
Exactly. You can go the Marvel Now route.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I like what they did with the progression of his suit throughout the movies. Like,
yeah.
I like how his World War II suit, like they touched on the original suit, and it looked kind of campy, but it worked. It still made it work.
I liked it better than the one that he wore in Avengers. I was like, because it felt more like Ultimate Cap. The World War II
I kind of I thought, I don't know, maybe it was just me. I kind of thought the first movie when he switched to his suit, like that kind of felt like Ultimate Cap because he had like the gun holster on the side and then he had the 2 stars on his shoulders.
Oh, you're talking about when that too. I'm talking about like you're talking about in the first Avenger when he had the hat and he had the goggles and the old school shield. Yeah, that would be the Ultimate World War II Cap. I'm talking about like in Ultimates, regular Ultimates, Cap's costume looks more like Cap's actual World War II costume in the movies. Like with all the straps and the helmet with the chin strap. That all came from Ultimates 2. Because in Ultimates 1 he had a suit that looked like the traditional Captain America suit, but it had like gray in there and it had
he had the chainmail in there.
Yeah, it had chainmail and Kevlar mixed together in the first Ultimates costume. But in Ultimates 2, he had a helmet with the chin strap, and it was more tactical looking. And he had the actual boots that looked more like futuristic, you know.
Yeah, because they had pockets on them.
Yeah, like straps. There were straps and laces. And he just looked so much more militaristic in Ultimates 2 than he did in Ultimates 1. In Ultimates 1, he looked more like a superhero.
Yeah, that's true.
And they took those cues and put that into the World War II suit. Because when I first saw it, I was like, wow, is that what he's going to be running around in, like, in modern times? Because that shit almost looked identical.
It looked like it could have worked.
It could have worked in modern times if you just changed the boots. Like, the boots needed to be something modern looking instead of those, you know, the long boot covers and stuff, which they ended up bringing back with this new costume.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, his new costume now is basically the Steve Rogers.
Yeah, exactly, and it works.
I love that costume. It's one of my favorites, to be honest with you.
Me too. It's too bad the figure wasn't that great.
I know.
Actually, I had got the figure and then I gave it to my son. I was like, yeah, man, I'm just gonna after I got the movie figure, I was like, yeah, okay, you can have this because I know you're gonna just beat it up and play with it real hard and shit. So I'm like, here, it's all yours. But yeah, I have to give him props for like the progression, like you said. You've seen Cap in live action in somewhat every version of the costumes you've seen him wear over the years.
Yep.
We saw him in the traditional, actual Captain America tights with the big ass fireman boots and everything. You saw him in the jacket with the fucking goggles and the cool crest shield type deal. And then you saw him in like a more superheroic version of the freaking Ultimate Cap suit. Then you saw the actual kind of modernized version of that suit. Now you're seeing the Steve Rogers suit. It's like they're paying attention to all the milestones in Cap's history and actually putting them in film form. So we can't say that they didn't make Captain America look and feel like Captain America on screen. And
exactly.
That's how you do it. Iron Man is another example. Although with Iron Man, I keep feeling like they go overboard in the design and then they don't apply it to the story. Like Iron Man 3 is a perfect example. What the fuck did the Mark 42 do that the other suits didn't? Except for the remote control without him being in it. That was such a MacGuffin too, because it was like, oh, at random times he's gonna use it, like, and he could have just easily have been in the suit. It wouldn't have made a difference. Like,
yeah, I think that was the only difference. The fact that it was like partially autonomous or whatever.
It just
like so they set up that one scene at the end where he's like, "Oh, Mark 42, come help me," and it like crashes in front of him.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like, so this is the special suit. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't amp up any function. Nothing. It just looks nice and it kind of resembles the Bleeding Edge armor, and that's it. That's it. That's nothing more to it. And
did you guys see the leaked photo of the Hulkbuster suit?
No.
Yeah, there's a leaked photo from Avengers 2.
It's just gonna get ripped up anyway.
I know, right?
Yeah, I know, and it's
Which is fine with me.
The Hulkbuster suit and the Hulk they're locking fingers.
Wow.
Yeah, I think was that a photo? Or was that concept? I think it was a concept art.
I think it was concept art, but I mean, I think they're still going to use the Hulkbuster suit in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Which hasn't been used yet, and I would like to see the Thor Buster suit, but I don't think they're going to use that.
Yeah, they're not going to go that far. I mean, who knows? They might. One of the hopes I have is that they don't lose steam before they get to some of the really good stuff. Like by the time they get to the big Infinity War, whatever, I hope they don't kill this whole superhero thing with too much
exposure,
oversaturating the product.
Exactly. I really hope that's not it. No, that's
not it. That's concept.
Yeah, the concept of the toy with the toy. I remember seeing that years ago. That's it right there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just there's so much that I want to see with costumes. Like I still want a Wolverine costume. Did you play Wolverine X-Men Origins for the PS3?
What's your favorite Wolverine suit?
The brown.
Mine's the tan and the brown.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Straight up and down. That's the best one. That's when he was so fucking raw.
Yeah,
that it was just quality. But did you guys play? I know. I think Prime. You saw me playing it, didn't you? X-Men Origins. I know Agent O played it.
Yeah, I played that game too.
What about you, ODC? Did you play X-Men Origins Wolverine?
X-Men what?
Well, X-Men Origins Wolverine for the PS3.
No, I didn't play that. Is it good?
It's the best Wolverine anything.
It's better than the damn movie.
It's like 1,000%.
The damn movie.
Yeah, it's way better than
Literally,
the movie.
you said it. It's the best Wolverine anything.
Yeah,
like, you beat game and anything.
You get.
Fucking Blade Trinity was better than Wolverine Origins.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Freaking in this game, it's like the most. You know how like the thing that's always missing from Wolverine in modern media is the violence level. There's no blood. He doesn't chop limbs off. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
He always fights robots or sentinels or something like that.
Or he cuts people and it's bloodless cuts and they just fall off the screen. Like in this, just imagine the violence level of like God of War.
Yeah.
But with Wolverine in the middle of it. Like
man, I gotta play it now.
You chop people up. He has these fatalities where when you grab somebody, the shine will intensify on his claw and the camera will get real close. And you have to time your button press with when that shine gets intense. And then he'll do these different kills, these quick instant kills with different enemies. You
He
know,
has environment kills too.
yeah.
Plus there's environmental kills.
It's so brutal. But like the cool thing is they gave you every major costume. So you have the brown and tan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's on a tall Wolverine because he's modeled after Hugh Jackman, and you know sometimes when you stop, when you just stop playing and you leave Wolverine alone, he'll take out a freaking stogie and light it up and smoke.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
It's freaking awesome when like you just fought a boss and then you stop and you're all tore up and you sit there and you watch his body like heal up in real time.
That's the other thing
Really?
too. After you take damage, your body literally, like, pieces of you will be missing. Like there are times where
You
like
see your skeleton
you can see
and
straight
everything.
through his rib cage.
Yeah,
So it's like you would have taken like bullets from like 2 or 3 different guys.
Yeah.
And, like you're taking damage, like you're getting hurt, you're losing health, but literally like pieces of you are disappearing.
yeah. So like when you stop, it all heals back up. Sometimes the suit won't heal up, but sometimes
His regular costume that he wears
Yeah.
in the game, like his tank tops, won't heal back up.
Yeah.
Of course, the pants heal up because
Yeah.
nobody wants to see Wolverine naked in a video game.
No Wolverine, no hairy Wolverine hang down. But yeah, no feral hang down. We
Yeah.
don't want to see that shit. But yeah, man, it's the best Wolverine anything. I mean, you have the brown, the yellow and blue, like when Jim Lee was drawing at him. They have the brown and tan. They have the X-Force costume, and then they have like obviously the regular, you know, Logan from the X-Men movies where he's wearing like a tank top and jeans and boots and shit. But it's
And he's got one with the leather jacket, I think.
yeah, he might. I don't remember. Oh yeah, you're right. He has the leather jacket and he has another one where he's like just wearing like a shirt and jeans, like a long shirt because the scene called for it.
Yeah.
But they recreate stuff from the movie, but they make it so much better. And like some of the characters, instead of putting the weird context that the movie put on them, they put them back in their original context, but they just have them playing the part that they did in the movie. So Blob is Blob.
Gambit had one of the best boss fights, I think, in the game.
Yeah, you fight Gambit and it's pretty epic. It's like a multi-leveled fight too, you know.
Oh, I love those. Is it kind of like Firefly's boss fight?
Kind of, sorta. It's like in God of War 2 when you fight Perseus.
Yeah.
Remember how like Perseus will fight you
okay.
with one weapon and then he'll lose the weapon and then he moves to another portion of the room and he uses another weapon, and it's kind of like that. You fight him close up, martial arts style, and he dodges you a lot. Then he jumps up on top of something and you're fighting on that and he's throwing cards at you.
Yeah, you have to use your reflection ability to catch the card and deflect it back at him with your claws.
Yeah, it's quality, man. Like it literally, like if you put him in one of those classic costumes, which is why I bring it up, you put him in one of the, and they did put seams and things on it to make it look modern.
Yeah, there's folds in it. And everything.
There's folds and
really?
seams and shit. It looks like a sneaking suit with just the elements of the costume, you know, the way we've seen it in the comics. And if you're playing in one of those suits, it feels like you're just watching your old comics, like in real life. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels so, I don't know, it just feels right, you know? And the game is awesome. Like, there's a scene where a helicopter comes up out of a chasm, and you just leap off of this, like, it's like where one end of a bridge, like a rope bridge. You just leap to the front of this helicopter, and you punch the freaking windshield, grab the dude, and then hold him up to the freaking helicopter blade. It's like the blood like trails around in a circle. I mean, it's so
awesome.
gory,
Yeah,
and like it's like, why is it that like Wolverine books were gory like this at a point in time, but you never saw this in live action? So it's cool when you see it in the game because it fits and it doesn't feel like Wolverine is too soft. I mean, it's brutal. It's really brutal.
Yeah.
But
I see some. I just looked it up. I'm looking at the blue and yellow one.
Yeah,
You can see like there's like creases going around the thighs, and then there's like a zipper seam going up the middle. Yeah,
exactly. Like it feels more realistic, and you know you can tell this is how you would get into the costume since fans need that these days. But it looks good though. You know what I mean? Like it looks good, and that this is an example of them saying, how will we translate this to that universe so that it doesn't feel completely hokey? And it worked. You know what I mean? At least in my opinion, it worked. I know there's always somebody who's going to be like, in my opinion, it didn't work. Okay, whatever. You know, sorry, you can't please everybody, but you know, if you've been reading comics and you wanted to see Wolverine's costume in 3 dimensions, here you go. That's the best that we've gotten. And then in the cutscenes, of course, they have him wearing like a future X-Men costume, which looks more like what Bryan Singer's X-Men. It's like a cross between Singer's X-Men and what
in the Ultimate X-Men.
No, remember when New X-Men came out and Wolverine didn't wear a shirt, but he had that jacket with the yellow lines on it and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a cross between those two, because he's got the biker pants with the knee pads built in and the seams and all that shit. But he's got a jacket and then like a different kind of shirt underneath the jacket, and his dog tags hanging out. They did a good job, you know, and I used to be a big Wolverine person, and then they oversaturated the market with Wolverine, and it kind of turned me off to the character. So I just go back and enjoy Wolverine and old stuff. But when this game came out, and I saw like how much it felt like the Wolverine that we used to read, except that he's taller, I was like, shit, I have to play this game, you know, and it's worth it.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's probably cheap.
I got GameFly, so I'll just
yeah.
It's even better. I was gonna say, because you could probably buy it new or used for like, you know,
I know,
less than $10.
I was looking on eBay. There's one brand new for $9.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
it was a sleeper. Like a lot of people, it was like one of the best of show. I want to, well, maybe not best of show, but it was one of the highlights of E3 that year. But because people were like, "This is so brutal," and it felt like Wolverine for real. But like when it came out, it didn't really make the waves that I guess they were expecting, because it was titled X-Men Origins. You know?
To that movie, yeah.
And it's tied to a movie.
Because it had that title.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know, there's the whole curse of the movie tie-ins. But I'm trying to think of other. I've seen some versions of like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, like pictures that people made, you know, photo manipulations. And some of the costumes that they've come up with actually make sense. They look like something out of like Xena or something like that, you know. And I'm hoping that that's what they go for, and they don't try to modernize her and make her like have this cool technologically advanced looking costume. You know what I mean? Because they've already said that they're thinking about making her a Kryptonian, and that
I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit at all. I mean, I don't know.
Why would she be Kryptonian? You might as well just make her fucking Supergirl.
Exactly, and don't even bother putting Wonder Woman in there.
And I already expressed my opinion about that too. So
yeah, it sucks. It just sucks. But design.
I did see one concept art where she's wearing kind of like pants, kind of not pants, but like, you know, tight like pants into her boots.
Yeah.
And like just like the Wonder Woman crest going across, kind of like the New 52 a little bit, but she's got kind of like pants instead of the cut off shorts.
Yeah. She should.
That could probably work if they're going for like realistic looks, something like that.
This is the thing. They have to remember, she's a mythical. Technically, she's a mythical. She's tied to mythical.
Yeah.
You know,
she's
everything.
Zeus's daughter.
Yeah. So it's like, if that's the case, then we don't need realism.
I want the whole thing with her. Like, I want them to literally take the animated movie, which was so good, and just apply that to live action.
Yeah, I agree. That
well, if Nolan gets a hand on it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, fuck that all up.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. The version I saw, it was the same picture you're talking about, but she didn't have the tights, and her costume was actually red, blue, and gold, or red, silver, and blue. And it looked good. It actually looked like quality. I'm like, wow, there's one. I was kind of surprised too that people had already found a way to make the shit make sense, because, you know, everybody met her with such disdain. It was like, yeah, she's not gonna, you know, they're gonna have to work. They're gonna really have to work to make this shit look right. Yeah. But it's funny. Did you see Justice League Adventures Through Time?
No.
Oh my god.
Was that the new kind of kiddie one that came out?
Yeah, it's not really kiddie at all. That's the funny thing about it. It's like, it feels like an episode of Justice League, the animated series. Like,
really?
But it's animated. It's animated in the style of Superman versus the Elite, and Karate Kid and Moonstar, I think her name is. She's got wings. I can't remember her.
Karate Kid's from the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, both of them are from it. And in their present, they're new inductees into the Legion. And something happens, and it's like something happens, and they end up going back in time. Then Lex somehow goes forward in time, and yeah. I don't want to describe too much, but you need to check it out. But the version of Wonder Woman they have in that film, she's got a blue cape. It's kind of like Jim Lee's Wonder Woman in the beginning of the second half of For Tomorrow. Have you ever read that? Superman For Tomorrow, where Wonder Woman comes to the Fortress of Solitude and fights Superman, and she's got like this blue cape. She's got these red boots that come up to her knees with like a knee pad, and they're white, and they're red and white. White trim is on all the edges, and they have buckles and shit on them. It's like she just put armor on her regular costume, and she looks like really hardcore. It's actually what she wears in DC Universe Online.
Okay.
With the cape with the stars on the side, on one side of it, and everything. And that's how she's designed in that, and it actually looks pretty damn cool. I was surprised that they actually went that direction. Batman looked like Arkham City, kind of like a kiddie version of Arkham City, but he had his utility belt was only 2 or 3 big pockets, 2 on his sides, 1 on his back. But his suit was like one big piece of armor. It was pretty cool. I was surprised that actually they went in that direction with him. And then Superman had like a version of the New 52 costume.
What was the name of the movie again? I forgot.
It's called Adventures Trapped in Time.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn. You're typing hard. But like the costume designs in that is pretty damn good. Like they actually tried. That's what I like. Like the worst costume in the whole thing is Robin. He has this weird like Earth 2 old school Robin look to him, and it doesn't necessarily. To me, it doesn't work. Like his cape looks real funky. He looks like a little girl almost, and it just doesn't.
It's Carrie Kelly.
But like the fight scenes, there's a fight between Karate Kid and Robin, and it's ridiculous.
Is it really good?
It's ridiculous, man. I mean, it looks like
that would be actually a really good fight. Bro.
Yeah, and I can't tell if it's Tim or Dick. I think it's Tim because he's using a staff, because Dick didn't use a staff back in the day, and the costume's so different. But it could be Dick. I can't remember if they call him.
Dick never used a staff ever.
Yeah. Because that was all when Tim showed up, when the staff started, But you know how they've been rewriting a lot of stuff, so, I don't know. But, yeah, Superman's suit kind of looks like the Man of Steel suit / the New 52 costume. But Wonder Woman looks amazing.
I'm looking at it right now, yeah.
I was surprised when they went that direction. And
yeah, that's a nice, I like that look for it. It's kind of like a little bit of New 52, kind of mixed with maybe a little bit of Flashpoint.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And Batman's voiced by Dietrich Bader, who voiced him in the Brave and the Bold. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember who voiced Superman. And Wonder Woman is like, I want to say it's Vanessa Marshall. I could be wrong. It sounds like her, though. One of those strong, super strong female type, that's typical strong female voices that they use for Wonder Woman. Yeah. It was really well done, though. And I didn't see many people talk about it. I was going to do a review about it, or of it, a while back, but I don't know. I think I started it and I just never finished. I ended up getting excited about other figures and stuff like that. But the designs in there are awesome. Everybody, even Cyborg. They made Cyborg a lot smaller.
Yeah, because he's got like kind of like a fro a little bit.
Yeah, like they
got like a half fro.
Half fro. Yeah, she's voiced by Laura Bailey, who voiced her in on one of the other movies too. I can't remember. I think she voiced her in not Public Enemies, but Apocalypse.
Is Dante Bosco Karate Kid?
Probably. Wait, who?
Really?
Dante Bosco?
Yeah,
no, he's probably.
really did.
I think he's Cyborg.
Oh, he is?
I said Dante Bosco was Karate Kid.
You're right. What the hell is Dante Bosco? I can't remember.
Rufio.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
And that's fucked up because his voice, he could play anybody.
Yeah.
His voice isn't distinctive to just being an Asian.
It works though because it gives Karate Kid personality.
Looky, I got a hooky.
But all the redesigns for the most part actually work, and that's the thing. Like I was surprised about you know, looking at like Karate Kid's redesign, and because before he was always drawn as a white guy, and then like they gave him a suit that kind of looked like a karate gi with the crazy popped collar and shit like that, you know, and it looked cool, but it looked dated, you know. Whereas, like, now what they did was they made him look Asian, which I guess is another problem in and of itself because, you know, there's a stereotype for you. But, you know, I think with him it doesn't matter because he's supposed to be... Isn't he supposed to be Asian?
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
I think... No, wait. I think he
I thought he was a white guy at first.
I think he's a white dude.
Yeah, well, in this, now he's Asian. Or he's a white guy who
That's
looks...
fine with me. I mean,
Asian.
that doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, no, it doesn't bother me. I just mean, like, in terms of, like, when they redesign the character and, like, the look fits the, like, ethnicity of the character or something like that, you know, if it's culturally specific, sometimes they do that. Or they'll give, like, Iron Fist. They give Iron Fist everything points to Asia, and then they got a blonde-haired white guy wearing a costume, and it's like...
His name's Danny.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, that sucks. Like,
that's how you know he's the chosen one.
it kind of... It's one of those things. But, like, sometimes, like, God, I can't believe I can't remember this dude. Keith Chow, I think is his name. He's the host of the Nerds of Color. He and he has a you know, a website. I think it's also called nerdsofcolor.com or something like that. And he's pushing for a petition to make Danny Rand Asian American in the Netflix films that they're going to make, the Netflix series that they're doing for each of those characters. In the Iron Fist one, he wants him to be an Asian American character because he says there's not enough of that in, you know.
No.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't really.
No.
Yeah, I don't
Leave
get
it alone.
because it's one of those things where it's like you. I know we just completely jumped away from the point, but whatever. This is what we do, so whatever. But it's one of those things where people complain if you tie certain things, certain stereotypes to certain people all the time. You perpetuate the stereotype. So by making him Asian American, he's still an Asian who's doing martial arts, right? And he's stuck with that stereotype, you know? Essentially, it's another one of those, you know, like Storm Shadow, like freaking, you know, all the ninjas in history that aren't American, you know, they all were always, it's always an Asian guy, you know? You hardly ever have like a black guy being the ninja. It's always the Asian guy who does martial arts and, you know, screaming wata and all the, you know, it's become a stereotype over the last 30, 40 years, you know? And I've heard people complain about it, but then here you have a guy actually asking for it because he thinks it fits.
I mean, it's the whole reason why they changed the Mandarin in the Iron Man 3 because they didn't want to go back to that stereotype.
Exactly.
And because that character was steeped in racial stereotype.
Exactly.
So why do that with Iron Fist? Like, I think they should introduce Shang-Chi in that universe because they've worked together in the comics and they're actually friends in the comics. Make that guy Asian American and make him a reoccurring supporting character.
And don't make him a sidekick.
Yeah, don't make him a sidekick. Don't make him the flavor of the episode.
Yeah.
You know, make him with the intention of introducing him to people who don't know the character and trying to boost and develop that character up so that you can either do a spin-off series with him or when you do a Heroes for Hire movie, bam, you've got another character that's part of that series that fans already know and they already are going to like.
And besides that, he is part of Iron Fist's
exactly.
world.
So
like,
it makes sense. It doesn't look out of place.
Yeah, and there's no need to like fix what's already, you know, it's not broken. It was already there. You don't have to do anything. So yeah, this is one of those cases where I think they're asking for something that's kind of, it's unnecessary. It wouldn't hurt it, but it's just unnecessary. I think in one way it'll just make it stereotypical, and I doubt that's where Marvel is going to go with it. You know what I mean? But hey, whatever. I don't know. I want to see what the designs for all these films are going to look like, or these shorts, or whatever you want to call them. Because I hope that Marvel doesn't change their style when they make these Netflix series and start going with the DC approach and making everything all quote-unquote grounded in reality, which in English means a biker suit that's a different color. like I hope they don't do that shit because it's just not cool. You know, it doesn't work. And
It's just boring and lazy.
Exactly. It's anybody could dye a fucking biker suit or buy a biker suit that's that color, and just put it on a character and create a helmet. It's not hard. I want.
And that's the other thing. There's no individuality.
Exactly.
Like nobody sets apart from each other. You can't tell. Like the only reason you could tell Wolverine from Cyclops is because Wolverine's hair and his button chops.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from that, I mean, how do you telling anybody apart from their costume?
Yeah, without them using their powers or those little details. Yeah, it's really hard to tell them apart. Shit, in the movie, Wolverine was wearing one of Cyclops' costumes. That's exactly what he said. It was one of his old costumes.
Yeah.
Which doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
because Gene said he looked good.
The seams on it
had those tiger stripes.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Because he wouldn't have a problem with wearing Cyclops' old uniform.
And he took Cyclops' bike. Like, he just snapped. They do Cyclops so dirty in those films, and it's like, come on, have some respect for the guy who's supposed to be the leader of this team. He's the first fucking X-Man.
Because it was a Wolverine fuckfest. All they cared about was Wolverine.
It's true.
Yeah, definitely.
It's true.
They were like, Wolverine's the new leader. We don't care about Cyclops. Let's kill him off in the second movie.
It's true.
Well, I mean, they even made fun of it because they had Magneto say, "Not everything's about you."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny because a lot of people hated X-Men 3 and they didn't understand the purpose. I understood the purpose and that's why I liked it. I didn't think it was like the best film, but I enjoyed it because what they did was they showed how fucked up the whole universe of X-Men got on film, and that movie literally cleans it all up. They killed off characters who weren't doing anything. They progressed certain characters who needed to get to a point so they'd be interesting. You actually had the most fighting. I mean, there was a lame story in there. I'm not even gonna lie. There was a lot of lame story in there, but as far as like spectacle goes, there was a lot of spectacle and it was fun to watch. Juggernaut was funny. I mean, even though he didn't look like Juggernaut, it was funny to see him.
Rock helmet.
Yeah, he just. I mean, they were going in the right direction. They just didn't fully get there, And it seems like if he had looked like the Marvel Select Juggernaut, people would have been like, I don't want to watch this movie. Because nothing else in the movie looks that comic accurate, so it would have been
loved it.
Yeah, I would have loved it. I would have loved it. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved it.
Especially if they do it to where all you see is like his eyes and his teeth through the
helmet.
Through the helmet. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
And this all goes back to the main point of the general public doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
Yet we have to contour every single thing that we release to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we need
make money because it's dollar bills.
Yeah.
Dollar
And
bill.
they shouldn't do that. What they should do is go back to the old. I mean, it can't be any worse than it already is. If they were like film sales, they've been dropping, and superhero films kind of saved that in the American film.
Hell, they saved Disney from a lot of financial trouble because John Carter didn't do very well.
Yeah.
And Lone Ranger completely bombed.
Fucking rip off Superman.
Fucking like that, and then.
Well, technically, the story came before Superman. A lot of like Star Wars and Superman, they got a lot of influence from John Carter because those books were out long before the comics and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
well, Superman and John Carter weren't they around this? It's like there's like a 20-year maybe. One is like 1910 or 20, and the other one is 1930.
1938.
Yeah. Superman was probably influenced by John Carter.
Yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah,
because I mean, John Carter is the Kryptonian.
Yeah.
Technically,
on
just
Mars.
reversed.
Yeah,
just reversed.
Yeah.
They flipped they flipped it as far as who's where.
Yeah.
And then
But yeah, you're right. They definitely saved Disney as far as films go, because Disney has a bunch of different production companies that they release films under.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, they help keep them from taking a loss.
Yeah, but they should go back to how it was. I mean, back in the day, you just made a good story. If the story worked, the movie sold, and it worked. People would go in and see the movie. Word of mouth would help make the movie sales go up because more people would come in to see the film. if you got good enough commercials and, you know, what is it, spots, TV spots, and, you know, decent trailers that don't give away everything, you're going to bring people in regardless. And it's like these days, every trailer looks the same. Every TV spot looks the same.
You always hear that in trailers now.
Yeah.
Dude, yo, you want proof that like that word of mouth marketing like has gone away? When do you see the? Are you most likely to see commercials for a movie before it's released?
Yeah,
That's true.
What's the most important weekend of a movie's release? The opening weekend. It's the only one anyone gives a shit about.
Yeah, well, that...
So soon as that Monday rolls around, like that movie doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
So like you said, like word of mouth, like exactly that should be what's important because, I mean, obviously it's going to vary how long a movie's in the theater or not, but it's like, but everybody, me, is not going to see a movie the day it comes out because I don't like sitting shoulder to shoulder with people I don't know. I'm going to wait a little bit after that movie comes out. I'm going to wait like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
Like there's very few things I've seen opening weekend.
That's true.
It's like in the fact that like that money like doesn't matter anymore. Like they'll mention a movie's like, you know, opening gross, and then like when they cross milestones, that's when you'll hear about it. It's like, oh well, this film just like the Avengers, like they kept you up to date on that. Like when that was out in the theaters, like, oh, it just broke 200, just broke 300, just broke. But other than that, it's like you get the report of a movie coming out that first week and then nothing. No commercials, no commercials that even reveal a little bit more because it was already out.
And they used to do that.
Yeah, they used to, and then they stopped. It's
Like the last movie I saw that where word of mouth really helped push that film out of the art house theaters into the megaplexes was Crouching Tiger, Hidden
I
Dragon.
know, right? Because we saw that movie like 4 times in the regular, you know, independent theaters. Then we turned around and saw it like 3 or 4 more times in the actual theater. Like it was crazy, and it was weird because like we didn't realize. Then we saw a commercial and we're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I remember because we used to always go on to QuickTime because he used to always have all the new trailers before everyone else jumped on the bandwagon, and that's where we first saw Crouching Tigers. I didn't even know they were making that movie.
I did. I used to be on Corona coming attractions all the time, me and Glenn, and they mentioned it, and the plot. I knew who the actors were, but the plot was real vague. It was like the 2 greatest martial artists in the world battle someone for a sword, and I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it probably wasn't exactly that, but it did say like 2 of the greatest martial artists ever do something for a sword, you know. And I'm just like, oh, Michelle Yeoh, Chow Yun-fat, I'm there.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being what it was, and it was great. And it's surprising that like enough people went to see it in the, you know, independent
and
theaters.
told everyone else about it.
Yeah.
That they had to take notice, and they're like, shit, we're missing out on money now, so we need to get a hold of this and throw it in the theater so we can get that dough.
Yeah.
See, I think I may have just lied. I think I saw that on the opening weekend. But again, since it wasn't a wide release,
hey, you're not a fan.
I worked with somebody.
What kind of fan are you?
Exactly. I worked with somebody.
I hate you.
This is back when I worked at like the last surviving video store.
Blockbuster. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And it was like man, we got to go see this. I'm like okay, cool. And we went to like some decent theater in New York though, because that was like, you know, the only place locally that was showing it, literally in the tri-state area, because that's where I am. So it was the only place where we can go to see it. So we went, and yeah, it was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't going to see that anywhere else. Like you said, not until like, you know, a few weeks later when it got a little bit wider release.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. And since then, it hasn't been too many to do that. I mean, if they did, it was something like fucking Shame or something. Remember that weird-ass Michael Fassbender movie? I don't even think that got a wide release. But I'm saying it was like some art house bullshit that like... And I am biased because a lot of art house films aren't really that pretty. And I almost feel like it's a title that they don't deserve.
It's indie, man. It's automatically good if it's indie.
I'm like, no. Just
because it's trendy.
Yeah, just because somebody slit their wrist or got raped or something doesn't make it a good film. I hate that, man. Hollywood does that shit too much, and then like the indie, you know, filmmakers do it too much. with their hipster soundtracks and shit like that. I'm like, no, that doesn't automatically make it good because you tried to be hip. But to each their own, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear people already. You hate movies.
You know?
You're an asshole.
Let me get my troll typing going.
Let the flame war begin.
I'm quoting you at 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 52 seconds. Don't deny it. I'm quoting you.
I know, right? Yeah, I just nah. Some stuff is overrated, and I think those are some of those overrated films. But yeah, man, the I don't know. It feels like we've expended all of our our ideas for these particular topics. But
yeah,
the moral of the story. No, go ahead, Prime. What'd you say?
No, I was going to say, I'll dip right back into the costumes, I guess. It's like, yeah, if you're making, it would have made the most sense to put Flash in something, again, closer to, like, you know, a speed skating suit. Like, he doesn't need armor or creases, because all that stuff just affects, like, you know,
Mobility.
Aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Which he kind of needs.
and you don't want to be heavy. You're running around.
Yeah.
You can't have heavy shit on.
And
The patterns on that costume kind of clash to me.
it's not even Clash. They're
Like-
just ugly.
I mean, well, like, yeah, so I mean, like, you've got, like, they go in, like, different directions, and it doesn't flow.
It doesn't do anything for the suit.
It
Just like
looks just like the Daredevil suit.
exactly.
It looks a lot like that.
He looks like
really does.
Daredevil and Giant Man from Ultimates. That's what he looks like, and it's lame. Why is the Flash brown? He's called the Scarlet Speedster. His costume should be red. Plain and simple.
You can't have that bright color in a real movie because
it's too bright.
people aren't going to like that.
Even though it worked, like, we already have a show that came years before it, and they did exactly the opposite, and it worked on that show.
Yep.
That, something like, again, so you start from that look and you bring that forward. But like I said, you just make it like, I mean, these things already exist in reality. Like you said, frictionless suits, like they already use them. They
Yeah.
exist.
If they had taken I would have even been cool with the new 52 costume with just the gold trim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep get rid of all the line work seams. Just keep that gold trim so you can it adds some form to the silhouette. And you see, I don't know, you have like different shapes going on, but leave it alone. That would have been straight. That would have been fine.
Yeah.
People run in Under Armour. Why couldn't you just have like an Under Armour suit, something like that?
Exactly. Like, oh, and I'm also checking out like all 25 of these like Empire covers.
Yeah, they all look terrible.
They're terrible.
Can somebody tell me why?
Warpath is
Of all
anorexic.
all people to have armor based on his outfit. Why does Colossus have armor on his shirt?
That's what I'm talking about. Perfect
I
example.
think he should be. He shouldn't even bother with a shirt.
Exactly. He should
Exactly. He doesn't even need a shirt. He
Yeah.
could be out there in a wife beater and just like be fine because
Exactly.
oh wow they're shooting okay.
be. Yep.
Like, behind me. But I'm like, why? I'm like, oh,
It's
that just caught my eye because I'm looking at all of them and my that's where I stopped
Yeah,
first. I'm
Quicksilver-
like, why?
yeah. Form, like I said, form and function. And it's
Quicksilver looks
completely
like a punk hipster of some sort.
Of course.
I know, like he listens to like Euro Electro.
Listening to, like, Electro. It's sad. It's just it doesn't work, and it's weird because like you have a fan base of people who don't know anything about these characters ahead of time, who are just eating it up like this actually works, and that's why if they don't, it's just like with games. If you're and even with action figures, we were pointing this shit out before. If the fan base is not going to ask for better, why would the
They're not
studio
gonna-
ever do better?
They're not going to get better.
They're not
Exactly.
gonna, it's not going to get better.
But wait, isn't Quicksilver going to be in Avengers 2?
Yeah, but it's a different. I think it'll be a different actor, and he's
Yeah,
it's,
no,
it's
I know.
Kick-Ass, and they're not going to mention the mutants and X-Men.
Yeah, they
and
can't.
all that. So-
This X-Men movie looks like it's going to be really bad.
Yeah,
Why do they keep riding Toad's dick, by the way?
yeah. Like, why is he
Why
in
did
this?
Toad become this important person?
He's not even Ray Park either.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
At least give us
He's
that.
an X-Men
Fine.
character.
yeah. He's a
Like,
janitor in the
if Ray Park
comics. He's a janitor at the school now, so it's like, what are we doing with Toad? Like,
maybe we'll have a scene with him mopping the floor up.
With his tongue.
I know, right?
No, wait a minute, and somebody...
asshole, you missed a spot.
I just gotta spit
Somebody
that
drops, like, a
mucus
chicken
on the
wing
floor
on
and
the
then lick it
floor,
all
and
back
he's
up.
Yuck. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Bryan Singer is so out of touch with the actual X-Men mythos that it almost doesn't matter at this point. And because of his being out of touch, he's out of touch with comics in general. He knows the part that he likes, but he doesn't know anything else. And when you look at his versions of all those characters X-Men is a pretty big franchise. And you look at, he didn't even get like a dude that was in really good shape, like a big ass Native American guy to play Warpath. Yep. Warpath looks like he's about to die right now. Like, what the fuck? Like, there's no strong Native American men out there that are actors. They exist.
You couldn't even get like a really big Samoan or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would have went the Samoan route.
Something.
Like if you couldn't, like you said, if you couldn't find one, if you really didn't want to pull one up, just get a Samoan. Like there's like, I don't know, half a dozen in like the WWE right now. Like, pull one of them.
It's true.
Get one of Rakishi's kids to do it.
Exactly. I'm like,
back that ass up.
You know the guy's already got stunt training, so there's that. You don't have to sub him out for some other stunt because he falls for a living anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who just...
Why does Warpath look like he's like 15?
He looks like the dude from the Black Eyed Peas.
Taboo.
It's like Taboo. Like,
It does look like Taboo.
It does look like Rufio, though.
Rufio.
Rufio.
God, that's a shame. God, they look so bad.
Horrible.
It's not even right.
I'm like scanning
I think the only one they got right is Bishop. That's it.
Yeah, and he even looks like halfway decent. Like
it's like they had something good and then they just kept going.
Like, where's his uniform? He's part of a freaking police force in the future, and he's not wearing a uniform. And the comic book character wears
for suckers.
I know. Apparently,
he's undercover.
He's undercover. He's narcotics.
Yeah, there you go. It's just
working Vice.
Yeah.
He comes out to the Miami Vice soundtrack.
It's just bad, man. They missed so much, and I guarantee you, a lot of those points. I mean, we're just bullshitting right now, right? And anyone could go and watch, if they don't want to read the comic, they could go and watch the '90s X-Men episodes with Bishop and understand.
We'll pull up clips of it right now on YouTube before they pull all of them.
Exactly, and then just see what Bishop is supposed to be, where he comes from, and what his group was like, and all that stuff. And I guarantee you, the X will not exist in this movie. And if they do it, it's going to be something completely different from what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that's the way Bryan Singer and them roll. They have to change things for the sake of changing shit. It's all ego, and it's not like common sense. It doesn't help anything. It just hurts. Like, the Sentinels look stupid. These Sentinels take your powers and then use them against other mutants.
I swear they watched Wolverine and X-Men, and they just ripped off the entire story idea, because this movie is supposed to lead into Age of Apocalypse, and that's exactly what happened at the end of Wolverine and the X-Men. They changed history, but they changed it into Age of Apocalypse.
Yep.
Man,
and then
Professor X's hover chair looks horrible. I'm sorry.
You know who I can't wait to see? Rogue.
Oh,
She's gonna
Lord.
be so badass in this movie.
She's gonna cry just a little bit more.
Cry and steal a squirrel's powers.
A squirrel.
I like how they always put these female characters in the picture that shows off dad ass.
Yeah. Well, she's one that always is getting naked and shit. I hope they don't make Havoc do the hula hoops of doom. Like, please don't make him shake first and then throw his powers out.
I'm looking at the effects. I'm looking at the effects, and I'm thinking they may still go there.
Yeah.
Because it's just a one little ring that's like going around him. I'm like, yeah, they might have liked that, and he may be doing it again.
That was horrible.
I'm surprised they're gonna have some like sunspots in this movie.
Yeah, I know.
Like Blink is in this movie. It's like, whoa, really?
Yeah, Blink, like, that shocked me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
See what they do. See where they take this, because she can literally go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did they give Warpath that fucking mascara mask?
Because they saw Arrow.
Winter
They saw Arrow and they thought that shit was nice.
No, Maybelline called. They want their look back.
Exactly. God.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
You do on the runway in 5.
They did that shit with Winter Soldier, and they did it with Arrow.
Yeah, with the smoky eyes.
Smoky eyes.
Who told you that shit is cool?
Yeah, they need to
put
stop.
on anyone.
They need to stop.
Anyone in a superhero movie.
They need to stop. With all the things they could have done. That's what I'm saying. Like, you look at, like, the design they did for Tonto and the Lone Ranger, which does not fit Tonto. It's a little too much for Tonto. You know what I mean? Then you look at Warpath, and that's the best they could do. You know, how about we flip the design teams? Like, how about you get the design team that worked on the Lone Ranger, and they went overboard, spent way too much money on a very simple concept, simple, story, simple everything. Put them in an X-Men, on an X-Men movie where they could actually flex their artistic muscles and give us really awesome designs. Because all these things look like shit. Everything I'm looking at in this looks like shit.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm looking at a picture of I'm looking at a picture of Professor X in his chair with his hair. He's got long hair and a beard. He's wearing like
bell bottoms and shit.
I can't even get. He's wearing like a '70s shirt with the hamburger beef hanging out. That's fucking ridiculous. Oh my God, it looks awful.
On these Empire covers, everyone has that same ball of power around their hands.
It's just bad Photoshop.
It's horrible. It's like, yeah, I've seen better Photoshop. Should have done better Photoshop. And Bishop looks like he's been hitting a pipe. Like his eyes.
No, his eyes don't need to be red. His eyes should get red when he uses his powers, and then they go back to normal when he's not.
They're probably gonna overcomplicate that, and he's like feeding his powers into the gun.
That's not Bishop, that's Pookie.
Look, it's just, I don't know. It's not horrible, but it just doesn't quite. I don't know. Maybe when we see him in motion, that might help. I am gonna get this Bishop toy because it's gonna be better probably than.
Hell, he already looks like that in the comics.
Yeah, it's gonna be better than the one we got, because the Bishop we have.
The Marvel Legends Bishop looks like they took one of the Beast body and just resculpted it.
Yeah.
I think did they use the same thing as the Cable body?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. I don't remember. Someone did point out, and it might have been Anthony's Customs who pointed out, what body was which. I just don't remember. It could be. We can look it up right now. I like how Wolverine ended up getting two, images because he had to have his shirt off. Like, look how ripped I am. Like, I'm
in
more
his contract, guys.
I know, right?
Ain't that money for that, D.
It's just crazy. I don't understand. I don't know. Bryan Singer must be loving that shit. It just doesn't. There's too many things that are specifically his likes, and they don't necessarily fit that universe. As far as designs, as far as the version of the character, just all that shit. It doesn't seem to. I don't know. It just doesn't work, in my opinion.
And if you're gonna, that's what boggles my mind. Well, obviously, I know one answer is the money, but it's like if you're gonna take a property like this, and okay, we're gonna make an X-Men movie, but I'm gonna change 95 to 98% of everything that goes on here. Then you're not making an X-Men movie. Just make that thing that you want to make, but don't call it X-Men.
Yeah, Mutant X the movie. There you go.
Is it the same torso but different arms?
It looks like the Beast torso. I'm looking at them side by side. It looks like that's the Beast body on Bishop. And they look a little different. The torsos look similar in the diaphragm joint.
Yeah,
but there's a little bit more, like the diaphragm joint on Bishop looks like it's touching the belt line a little bit, like it's a little bit longer.
Yeah, he looks freaking huge, like way
Huge.
too big. It almost looks like they took the cable figure and just slapped a whole bunch more plastic on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's got different abs too. Because I'm looking at it too.
Yeah, I just don't like that figure.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because I had one of my friends in Cincinnati.
Looks like Ving Rhames. That's who he fucking looks like.
Yeah, he does. I had one of my friends in Cincinnati like search for him. Well, he said he saw him all the time, so he got him for me. And when he came to visit, dropped it off. And when I got it, like I was all happy, like, yeah, man, I found Bishop. And then when I got him, I'm like, damn.
Damn.
I don't really like this figure. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That's the same thing. Like I keep like when they said they were coming out with the Luke Cage figure, because I love Luke Cage. I finally looked at it and I was like, I'm gonna spend $30 and I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I don't want the whole box set, so I was like, I'll just get Luke Cage. I don't care.
did the same
and I was
thing.
like looking at reviews and stuff, and I was like, it's not a very good figure.
Yeah, it's not. Like,
once again, let's be real clear. Which body is it? It's Hyperion.
Yes.
Let's make sure, not the Wreckers, but Hyperion again.
Yes.
And it's the one with the shelf chest that sucks, and his body is just not proportioned right. It doesn't look like you could be in that combination of positions with your neck and your chest and your back all at the same time. It just wouldn't work. And it makes him look odd. You know, he doesn't look heroic when he's standing up. It just looks weird.
Even a profile, like the sculpt looks odd. When you turn the figure to its side and just look at his body, it just doesn't look right.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's like shoving his neck back.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like poking his chest out. It just looks really weird. Yeah, like he's trying to fix his posture or something. I've got poor posture, guys. I have scoliosis.
Rickets.
Yeah, I know. I was so happy when I got that figure in the mail. And then when I started messing around with him, because you can't, like, because he's got those cuffs on, you can't bend his arms all the way up, even though they are, like, double jointed.
Yeah.
And
should have just painted those. I mean, I see where they were trying to go. Like, I understand. Like, they look cool, but...
Yeah, I like them. They just get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I still want the figure. I'm just not willing to pay $30 for it.
Yeah. We should never be paying that much for Marvel. For one figure. I don't care, especially if he's just a 6-inch figure. Like, no.
Then you're not a fan.
I know, right?
Then you're not a completist.
That's blasphemy.
I just got so tired of looking at the 70s Cage.
Yeah,
and that's the only one you had available.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so weak.
Yeah.
So
and he's had different costumes throughout the years that they could have easily referenced for another Cage figure, and they just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't boggles my mind, but whatever.
We're supposed to get another one in a future wave, I think.
Yeah, but aren't they focusing on movie figures now? Like
but they're including other figures in those waves.
Yeah.
They should put Luke Cage in an Avengers movie.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would, because he's an Avenger.
or just do a Thunderbolts movie.
Uh-huh.
That would be awesome.
Hell, didn't they do that instead of Guardians of the Galaxy?
No,
I'm not technically down on.
I get it. The whole Infinity Gem thing and.
Yeah, and somebody else has said it too. It is good that I think of Ryosuke when we were here. It's good that you try to hit different like areas, subgenres in the genre, rather than everything just being guys and girls in tights.
Yeah.
So it's like you do the galactic thing and you cover that base, and then like you do your Earth superhero stuff, and I'm like that could be cool. A Thunderbolts movie down the road would be awesome.
Yes.
I agree.
If DC was smart, they would get on a Suicide Squad movie, but that'll never happen.
Exactly.
Well, people like Slade.
Yep, they love.
They should have fucking like, I don't know. They should give these movies or properties to directors and teams that like make the certain style of film that would fit that franchise. Like, people bitch and moan about the Expendables because the actors are old.
Mm-hmm.
But why not? Oh, they use the Gears of War body.
Yeah.
Why not use like people like Stallone? He also directed and wrote those films, or co-wrote the films.
Yeah.
Why not have him direct some hard-boiled shit, like crazy balls-to-the-wall action film with the Suicide Squad. It would work.
I mean, the guy wrote Rambo First Blood, for God's sake.
Yeah, I think he wrote the majority of the Rambo
Yeah.
films. He would easily, like, no matter how dumb people think he is, because he's big and he has his little lisp and whatever. He's not, he's not really as dumb as people think he is. He's pretty damn intelligent. So let him put his intelligence to work and make a good film. You know, like, I'd go see it if he had something to do with it.
Whenever, I saw Escape Plan. That was watchable.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Like, people dissed
It wasn't that bad. It was ridiculous, but it wasn't that bad.
But you know that going into a Stallone movie. There's something.
I was gonna say, like, action movies should be a little bit ridiculous. It's
that was the glory of the '90s action film
and the '80s. Yeah, just crazy ass action, and that's what you want to see. Too many people they've become kind of what's the word I want to use? They're not bitter. Maybe it is. They've become embittered, but they don't understand the glory of the old days, like what made it great. Because you have all these.
They want to place themselves above that.
Yeah.
It's like, see, like an action movie. Oh well, I don't want to watch action movies anymore. Like they're just. And apparently, the only action movies that we make now are like made for like the teenage market, because between Twilight and Divergent and friggin' what was that other thing? I missed Ender's Game and all that stuff. I'm like, wow, it's like. This is the only thing these are the only action movies we get now?
Yeah. It's whack.
It's really weak because everybody's so worried about character development. It's like, no, man, what's wrong with action? That's why I never had a problem with Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It's like, what's wrong with some action?
Yeah.
Because God knows we don't need people talking for 2 hours.
Yeah.
There's plenty of movies that do that already.
Yeah.
And action movies can fit that in too.
Exactly. It's weird. We get these new young action heroes, quote unquote, that don't look like they could possibly do the shit that they definitely are not doing in front of you on screen. That's the biggest problem. Like, we're supposed to believe that, freaking, what's the guy's name? The werewolf dude on Twilight with like 20 billion abs?
Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor Lautner.
We're supposed to believe that motherfucker can actually like pull off the action that he's pulling off in front of us, and it's not a stunt double, and he actually had years of training and stuff. I know he did martial arts though, because I saw him in other movies when he was younger. But it's still, you're supposed to believe like that these guys are capable, but then you're watching them and it's like, yeah, there's no way. Like, they
threw him in like one action movie after the Twilight movies were over, but I'm like, I don't know how well it did. What was that one where
it's on Netflix?
He was adopted, but his parents were like CIA agents or something like that.
Flopped. It
Womp, womp, womp.
So, but like they tried. I'm like, to bring
There it is.
there you go, abduction. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
But like, so they tried to bring him in, and I don't think they're gonna create like a new generation of like action stars. I think for the most part that genre is dead.
Yeah. Except like once Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Statham and all those cats that are in the Expendables, once Stallone dies and Schwarzenegger dies, it's done.
It's the end of an era.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. And I'm like, ugh, that is sad. Then the only action movies we get will be teen novels and comic books. Be the only thing we get.
Yeah, it's sad, and that's why I feel like they need to expand in the approach that's used for those types of films, because if they have more directors and more writers that have already written action that fits that kind of bill, because most superhero comics imitate a certain genre, you know what I mean, like of either action film or horror film or sci-fi, whatever. Yeah. They all fit into a genre, even though they've got superheroes in them. You should get those people to make these films because they could do it right. But that's not what they're doing in all cases. Marvel's doing it right, but with DC, I don't know what to say about them.
They didn't even want to make like a Justice League movie until the Avengers like knocked it out of the park, and then everyone just looked at them.
Yeah,
like, they were like, hey, what do you got, DC? And they were like, Man of Steel?
Man of Steel, and then we got another, more Batman.
I know,
more
right?
Batman 3 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing. As soon as I heard it, it's like, okay, the focus of the movie is going to be Batman and Superman. I'm like, seriously?
Oh,
like you're that afraid. Oh, back to that Wonder Woman point raised earlier. What I said before in another video. Like, so you're not confident in Superman enough to give him a sequel.
Yeah.
Without Batman, but you're willing to wrap your entire cinematic universe around him by making Wonder Woman potentially part or descendant of Krypton. I'm like, how do you justify that?
Why didn't they just shoot another Batman movie while they're shooting Man of Steel 2?
That's probably what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Well,
Every Batman movie is gonna be a different Batman because they're just gonna shoot them all simultaneously.
you have to, because by the time his contract's up, he's gonna be like 55.
Well, here's the thing, right? They said that they wanted an older Batman, a more grizzled Batman, and then I said my first pick was John Hamm, and then they ignored John Hamm and they get freaking Ben Affleck, and then guess who picks up John Hamm? Marvel does, and they make him play Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So it's like. And I dig Doctor Strange. I think that was the best Marvel animated film because it was the most imaginative and the designs worked. Everything was cool. It was like, shit, they actually pulled that off, and I didn't see it coming. I know people argue with me and say, no, it's something else that has computer animated something in it. You know what I mean? Whereas that shit was mostly hand-drawn animation, you know, except for a couple effects. But it's strange that Marvel understands... Like, some of these talented actors do fit the bill for these characters. Yeah. And if you want to give them credibility, you need that kind of talent to be in the, you know, the lead role for these characters. Like, he will totally sell Doctor Strange. Even if the movie sucks, he won't be the worst thing in the movie, unless they pick a shitty director. Which
I wanted Carl Urban as Batman.
He doesn't have the chin.
I was like, yeah, no,
he's tough though. He's tough as hell.
He was his dread was good.
Yeah, he was perfect as Dredd.
Perfect. That's why I was like, and he didn't even take the mask off the whole movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, this guy would be perfect as Batman.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if I guess if the suit was the kind that he wears now, where like the chin is enclosed like RoboCop.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't matter because his chin's not exposed. But if it's the old school, like, you know, animated series almost, like where you can see his chin sticking out, then it would look odd. Because, you know, Keaton didn't have the chin, but his whole suit was just freaking amazing, so it worked. He looked scary as hell. His freaking eyes did all the work.
Yeah.
Dude looked insane. Like
I hear they're going to white his eyes out. That's a rumor.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
They should just CGI it.
Or just put the visor, put the white visor over it, because from far away you won't even be able to tell anyway. And then in post, they could whiten it out a little bit more, and that'd be fine. Yeah, that'd be awesome, because we've never seen that yet, except for in The Dark Knight when he turned on his fucking bat sonar vision or whatever.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, it would work. It would work. Well, I think that's it. Well, you were about to say something.
Oh, I was gonna say, couldn't they just put white contacts in?
Yeah, they could do that.
Yeah, you could do that and black out the eyes.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if the mask had white in the eye holes, like white, like on Spider-Man's suit, he has the white with the little holes through, and they do it a lot on like tokusatsu shows where like their helmets, like this, like on Power Rangers and shit, the helmet will be like all black or all white, but there'll be little dots so they can see through it. You know, they could do that with him, and we wouldn't be able to see the dots because we're not close enough. But you know, people on set would be able to see that shit because they'd be close enough to look in his eyes and see that. But yeah, either way it would work. White contacts would work, but it just seems like Batman would actually turn around and put on white contacts before you go. Like, hold on, Alfred.
I just figured it would be one of those unexplained things. Like, he's out of the costume, you see his eyes. As soon as he puts the cowl on, his eyes are white. Yeah. But you just wouldn't. Like, I know people would pick it apart.
I'm just messing with you. No, it would work. It would look cool. I'm fucking with you.
Damn it, nobody move.
Yeah, I know, right?
Contact.
I lost a lot.
I didn't get my contact solution out.
Don't step there.
I lost another contact. Stop punching me. Hold on.
Oh, my God. Shit, I guess on that note... On that note, we're gonna call it quits with this episode. Peace outside, folks.
See ya.
Later.
Peace.